having such control even over a tremendously spinning ball. And I think sometimes because they were together and they were playing the game at the same time, and they played the game for so long, both of them, that we forget that spinning is as liable to variation as any other.
Well, they ruined it for a lot of other spinners, because people would say, well, why can't you just do what they're doing? Why can't you put every ball on the spot? It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work.
The same is true of seamers in some respects. I mean, people would say, why can't you bowl like Glenn McGrath? He's just putting it in the same place every time. Well, if everybody could do it, then Glenn McGrath wouldn't be one of the great bowlers of all time.
Well, exactly. No, we have a change in bowling.
I think it's probably the last over of the day, and to talk you through it, it'll be the Bear.
Do you think it's last over today?
I think so, yeah.
Particularly because of the bowler as well.
Well, first ball is flat and pretty fast. He's left arm over. He's bowling to Khawaja. Pads it out to cover from well outside his off stump. There's no run. It's pretty flat, wasn't it? No loopy stuff that we've had for the last few overs.
Bit of turn though.
Bit of turn.
As you'd expect.
Yeah, you can bowl flat and get turn if the wicket's breaking up. Oh, now that beat him outside the off stump. Much quicker through the air is Harris Sahel.
Should we give him a jingle?
Yeah.
If you want a man, bowling left arm spin.
Tossed up this time, but well outside the off stump of Khawaja, who goes across, doesn't play a shot, and there's no run.
That's one of the rare Halloween jingles there from
from
us as we go into that pointless time of year.
Oh yes.
Local time, it must finish at either 5 o'clock or 5:30. Surely 5 o'clock must be the cut-off time. Oh, is that out? No, dropped. Christ, that was dropped. Khawaja went to drive that outside his off stump. It was very full. Got in a bit of a tangle, jammed his bat down. I think the outside edge wasn't a bump ball. Went very fine past Sarfraz. Who's that at slip? Is that Hafiz?
We need a tumbleweed jingle.
And
Azhar Ali?
Yeah, it could be. It is Azhar Ali, isn't it? He dived to his right.
He got one hand to it.
Got one hand to it, but couldn't hold on to it. And unfortunately, it went down. Sharp chance. Next ball is just defended into the leg side. And there is no run. Yeah, he jabbed his bat into the ground, didn't he?
Well, he just thrust out a hand. It went pretty quickly.
He got it into
they
the
either
palm.
stick or don't.
They either stick or they don't. Yeah, it did go into his palm of his hand, but he just couldn't get the fingers to clasp on a ball before it bounced down again. Last ball is just kicked out into the offside, and there is no run.
That's tough work, slip fielding.
Yeah, you're very good at it.
Oh yes.
I always think they're harder when you're going back towards the keeper from first slip. I think you're kind of set up for the one that goes wider towards what would be a second slip. Of course, there isn't a second slip because
you try and cover as much ground as possible, and, and sometimes by doing that, you actually make it harder for yourself. I find it's easier when the keeper's not going to make any attempt to get the ball. Are you listening down in the other room?
Well, that's the one that goes wider, isn't it? It's not going to get there. Anyway, we're back for the next over. Oh no, we're not. We're having a look at a replay of the drop.
Unless he's dropped the exact same thing again, which would be great.
Harris Sahel bowling his second over in a row.
It used to be allowed in the very early days. You couldn't bowl more than 2 overs in a row.
Oh, I see.
You could bowl 2, but not more than 2.
Don't tell the people.
Oh, the
100.
I think that's part of the 100.
100 and the 10 balls. Dave was telling us they're trialling that you could bowl like 4 balls from one end and then 4 balls in the next over, whatever it is called, sort of in the other end at the same time.
It's like kids in kindergarten making up the rules as they go along, isn't it?
Can you bowl a left arm over and a right arm over at the same time?
Oh yeah, multi-ball.
2 deliveries.
Multi-ball. That'd be great. People complaining that Facebook is dead. It's no longer dead. The Bear has sorted it because that's what he does. Things aren't looking good in Dambulla, tweets another cricketing organisation. The ground is completely covered in tarpaulins, and it looks like one of those skating rinks before they've frozen it.
Yes.
You know, where it's covered with water.
Yeah.
A giant paddling pool.
Well, head's on 30 and he's facing up. Big jabs at that one outside his off stump. He's not in line, but his head's inside the line. He thrusts his bat out, gets into the ground, out to point, and there is no run.
I'm going to postulate the reason that we've got local time in the corner, 16:53, is that the cut-off will be 1700 hours. Otherwise, why would they have it up there?
I thought it was 30. Didn't they start on the half past?
No, I think they started at 10.
The extra half hour.
Also, the light goes very quickly near the end of the day.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I remember that. That's thrown up and jabbed out to backward point, and there is no run.
Is the Dubai International Stadium known as the DIS, perhaps? Because it would be somewhat incongruous in the United Arab Emirates. Not exactly known for its descent, is it? So
It's the Duis.
Tossed up outside the off stump by Bilal and driven out to deep cover. And Head will pick himself up another single.
oh, Honda Power motorcycle there. I
Yeah.
think that's the Honda symbol.
Looks like it to me.
I had to get a new motorcycle, or rather I got a second-hand motorbike about 6 weeks ago because the starter motor on my old bike failed. Would have cost £650 plus labour. So I traded it in. Yeah, I traded it in and got an older version of the same bike.
Cut airily for a little while, but out through point to the man sweeping on the cover boundary. And they'll get back for two this time.
One of the reasons I'm raising it is because I've got a manual choke. I haven't got linked brakes, so I've stepped back in time to the time before there were driver aids on motorbikes, as there are in cars now, because this is a 2004 bike, and it's you kind of got to pay attention much more when you're riding it than you did with the other one, which perhaps is a good thing.
I think I've spotted what's happened with the overs. I think they're actually bowling more overs in the day than they needed to. Which is why the minimum over, which doesn't happen very often nowadays.
No, doesn't at all. Driven, tossed up very high by Bilal, and it's driven back to him by Kawaja.
Despite the fact they've only got through 25 overs in this session.
Yeah, well, somebody who's been paying greater attention to this game may be able to help us with that.
Maybe they've slowed down, precisely. They don't want to bowl too many. That one's flatter, and Kawaja just defends out into the offside, and there's no run.
The news from Dambulla is that the cut-off for a 20-over match would be 9:25 p.m. Dambulla time. So I believe that is
it's about 5 o'clock. I think.
Well, is it the half hour again?
Yeah, it is a half hour.
5.5 hour difference.
Yeah, I think so.
Which means they can go on playing to about 11:30 local time.
Oh God! Well, it's day night. I mean,
well, yeah, it starts at 2:30 in the afternoon, I think.
Well,
yeah, I suppose normally it would finish at about 10:30, so they've got an extra hour, 11:30. It's a long time. It's a late finish for a game of cricket, though, in a week, isn't it?
I'm not sure whether I should read this. I shall take editorial guidance from our Eminence Grise.
Well, Mickey Arthur's not looking happy.
Well, he has to wear that ugly Australian training kit, doesn't he?
That's defender back down the track and there's no run.
Pakistan, surely.
Pakistan, sorry, I meant. No, I think we've got these timings wrong because I think they've come off in previous days at about 2:30 English time. So
well, I'm imagining the extra half hour takes it to 2:30.
Why extra half hour?
Because there's always an extra half hour. If you don't get the bloody overs in time.
It's mostly spinners, haven't they?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, that last ball was an attempted sweep and missed by Head outside his off stump.
I thought
there's no run.
I thought Harris Sahel was coming on because it was kind of last over of the day. So maybe I'm wrong in that. He's not front line spinner,
no, but he's a decent part timer. Bowls it quite flat, and Travis Head shimmies down a pitch, meets the ball, not quite on the bounce, and so defends it out to mid wicket, no run.
Kawaja on 49. He's looked very sketchy. He's been in a lot of difficulties, really, from the moment that Aaron Finch was dismissed. But he's still there.
Yep.
It's not how, is it?
His partnership. I mean, Travis Head scored 30 in reasonable time as he whips that round the corner to leg gully. He's wearing two hats and there ain't no run. Leg slip, leg gully. What do you call that? He's a bit square, isn't he? I'd say that's more leg gully than leg slip.
I would.
Oh, driven out, inside out, but not much power from Head as he tries to meet the ball again, taking a little step down the pitch. He'll get two for it as it goes out to deep extra cover.
Almost a backward short leg, really. Maybe he's just a tiny bit deep for that. Didn't Sevi Ballesteros wear two hats one round of the Open? And they asked him, why are you wearing two hats? And he looked down the camera lens and he said, well, why not? Which, is fair enough, I suppose.
Outside off stump and gets himself in a bit of tangle there. Head decides this time not to come forward, which has served him quite well. Gets stuck on a crease, prods his bat out of it, turns maybe not as much as he thought it was, and ends up feeling for the ball. It just misses outside edge and is taken by Sarfraz, no run.
Gordon Anderson says, on Brilliant, making things happen. He once, I I once remember him reading that he placed a spare helmet at square leg to encourage the batsman to play across the line to get the 5 penalty runs.
Yeah.
He did. He put it actually at point, and then they changed the laws and said no, they have to be behind the keeper.
Did he get a wicket out of it?
No, but it makes the batsman think.
It does. Well, I can get some extra runs. I don't even have to hit that hard. I just have to hit that thing that's only about 12 inches across and 30 yards from me, which is in itself pretty difficult. Driven at by Kawaja, who gets his 50 out to deep cover as the next over starts. That's well batted, sir. Got himself in a bit, as Gary said, he got a bit stuck, didn't he, after the three wickets in for no runs, essentially. Both Marshes.
Here we go.
And Finch.
The problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover.
And it's cut out to cover. Well, Mohammed Hafiz, I believe that was his fielding, and there ain't no run.
Cantankerous C doesn't want people to talk about the 100. I'm with him, actually. Ravi Nair says it is known as DIS because he is the god of the underworld. Tumbleweed jingle, spaghetti western music, the good, the bad, and the ugly, says Mima Boardman. That's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, this is not directed at us, so we're just I'm not going to read this.
Bilal has changed and gone over the wicket and bowls that flat and straight and it's prodded that by head, square on the offside, no run.
Yeah, if they're going to try and sweep him from that line,
it's much harder, I think.
It's more likely to go up in the air, you might have thought. And they're not fetching it from outside the off stump.
No.
It's slightly different
Exactly.
equation.
Tosses this one up and head is forward, presses into the ball and just defends it out into the offside, no run.
Way Pom Pom is in New York. He was at the Lincoln Centre last night for the opera Samson et Delilah, or as he calls it, Dela.
Wei Pom Pom has such a good lifestyle. He's always all over the place, isn't he? Going to these scientific seminars of one or another. Driven back to the bowler this time, and no run.
As long as he's a long way from Beardy Ed.
He's quite happy.
Yeah.
I'm going to Royal Opera House tomorrow night. It's an oratorio. Solomon.
Is that Handel?
Yeah, I think so.
Back round the wicket, and this one keeps a little low. 2 slips in, and it's cut by head out to point, and they'll get themselves a single.
Yes, it's at handle.
Last ball of the over, and that looks like stumps for the day.
It does look like stumps. Yeah, it's just gone 2.
Just gone 2. They've got through the overs.
Okay, I've now triggered what happened. 2 o'clock is the official end of that play, but the extra half hour has not been more or less completed in the previous days because of the sun setting. So
Okay.
just but for the in time for this test to end, I now know what's going on as far as the timings are concerned.
There we go. So,
1 day to go.
stumps on day 4. We won't be covering tomorrow. We're only doing this
No.
because England aren't playing in Sri Lanka, and we're supposed to be doing an England ODI. Well, we gave you this as a bit of extra. And we saw 3 quick Aussie wickets. You're going to come in and tell us what we're going to do now, Hendo? Okay, come and tell.
I'm just going to say that Khawaja, just as Hendo's going to the mic, that Khawaja looks absolutely spent. He looks like he's run a marathon. There, it must be quite hard work in the middle, but he's obviously the batting stalwart for Australia in both first and second innings. Well played, Usman Khawaja.
Indeed.
Well, I was thinking on the basis that other services seem to have given up the ghost on Dan Buller. Not that we are completely giving up, but I was thinking perhaps in the meantime we should play a bit of first day Ireland-Pakistan highlights just to give people the idea of what we do when we're actually at the ground.
Okie dokie.
Shall we do that? Do you want to?
Yeah, well, if you can wibble away, I'll find
That's a very
it.
good point. But let's do the first day anyway, because there was a beautiful piece of work by Roger McGann, one of our commentators, who heralds from the
McCann, not McCann.
McCann. Did I say
You said McGann.
McGann. No. So yeah, I think we should do that if you can key it up, and obviously we'll keep an eye on how things are going at Dan Buller. And if there should be any play, and even if there is any play, I can't imagine how much we're going to get. It's going to be a very contracted game, isn't it? With England on 92 for 2 from 15. How many overs can you get in that time? Not that many, really.
No.
So it'll be Duckworth-Lewis affected as well. So anyway, we'll keep you up to date on that. But are we ready to go on Ireland? No, not quite.
It's got to boot up.
Have we got any tweets for the time being? Oh, you've just given me your microphone. I'll hand it back.
Yours is there.
No, we haven't got any tweets. If you want to look at Alec Payton, he's copied us in on his tweets. He's talking about he's been listening to other services that are available, and he's been giving his cogent review. I don't think he's all that in favour, but if you want to go over to him, he's Alec Everlone.
Of course, he's just one of many people out there who've been sampling the various dishes on offer today, I suppose, because there are plenty of places you can go for your cricket today. But
there hasn't been enough cricket. That's the only
That
problem.
is the problem, isn't it? The lack of actual cricket. And fortunately, we've had Pakistan and Australia to entertain us a little bit. But if you are wondering, actually, I've got my sheet. If you can pass me that, Bear, I will tell you a little bit more until we're ready to bring you the highlights of. Well, not even highlights, actually. It's the full thing from Ireland against Pakistan, the inaugural test that Guerrilla Cricket won the rights to commentate on. I should tell you that there's a lot of cricket coming up on Guerrilla Cricket over the next few months. Absolutely loads, he says, flicking through many pages of notes and finding not the page that he wants, which is typical. Is it on that one, Bear? Can you just have a look and see if that's another one? Let me have a little look at this.
Wow.
Yes, this would appear to be it. Basically, you may know that it's not split into two parts. We've just welcomed a South African version of the Guerrilla Cricket approach into the family, as it were. And they will be doing a lot of South African coverage and maybe other things as well. South African against Pakistan, that's coming up just after Christmas. They've got some one-day internationals against Australia. They've got Sri Lanka in the new year as well. We will be commentating on all this series, Sri Lanka versus England one-day series and the test matches. And then after Christmas, for sure, there will be the Caribbean tour, the whole of the Caribbean tour, and one or two other things as we go on. But we will keep you informed about those on the website and on Twitter.
Indeed. Right, we're ready to go. I'm going to
let's
start at
do
the
it.
beginning of day 2.
You're going to do day 2, are you?
Yeah, well, there's so much of cricket there.
Yeah, but you don't hear the beautiful tones of.
I think you do. I think you tell you on day
Well, you
2.
do hear him, but you don't hear him doing his little sort of.
Did we do it at the
word
beginning of day
piece.
2 as well?
No, I don't think so. We just did it on day 1. We wouldn't have done it day 2 as well.
We always play day 1 there. Yeah.
All right, play day 2 then.
That's some action.
Okay.
Bit suspicious, the end of a wonderful over from Tim Murtagh, and the score at the end of that over is Pakistan 13 for 2. David Franklin.
Indeed, a wicket maiden from Tim Murtagh, and you just hear the crowd singing already. It's a wonderful sight to behold. Tim Murtagh has over 700 first-class wickets, and yet it must be such a nerve-wracking thing to come into what he knows is a massive day for Irish cricket. There have been no signs whatsoever of nerves so far, either from him or from Boyd Rankin. It's been a fantastic start from the Irish, and this man is about to face his first ball of this tour.
If you want a man, on the left arm spin.
Yes, it's Harris Sohail about to face his first ball. Almost run out without facing a ball. Almost run out without facing a ball there.
Just do some tweets quickly. There's various people joining us. Aziz Ahmed, Stephen Ellens, he's just off to play cricket, so he'll listen to us later. And my good friend Steve Jim and Maidenhead United official wishing me luck.
And a little chance for a single there. Can again have to be quick. Harris Sohail toppling over as he takes a single. It was a no ball from the change of bowling there. That looks like it's
this man.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you do some bowling. Yeah, maybe if it's a one-day game. Yes, I want to see you batting, 'cause you're Tyrone Kane, Tyrone Kane, Tyrone Kane.
It's Tyrone Kane in to bowl to Asad Shafiq. Leaves that one to go outside the off stump. That didn't trouble the batsman.
Tyrone Kane.
Tyrone Kane, the young Irish quick bowler. He's looking lively there, but a little bit of an erratic start. He started off with a no ball. That one was nearly a wide.
What a jingle, though. Lovely starting jingle for him. You just can't help kind of swaying with the music, can you, with that one?
We're desperate to hoping he would make the final 11 just to give that jingle an airing.
Here he comes. Ball's now to Asad Shafiq. Again, it's wide outside the off stump. Didn't trouble Shafiq. He lets that one go.
It's wide, but it seems quicker than Rankin. I don't think we've got speeds here yet, but I'd be interested to see how quick that was. He seems to have something about him on the pace front.
As you say, it's been a nerveless start from the opening bowlers, but maybe Tyrone Kane just showing a few nerves here. But the main nerves on display have been from the Pakistan team. Frenetic running between the wickets. Almost a couple of comedy run-outs. Haris Sohail almost run out without facing a ball in the last over. And it's Asad Shafiq now who faces up to Kane, who bowls to him over the wicket. Again, it's wide outside the off stump, and Asad Shafiq can let that one go. So the pressure coming off a bit now. And one of the tests of Ireland will be the strength of these backup bowlers. Have they got the backup to the very impressive Rankin and Murtagh? And I wonder whether Kane is going to rise to this occasion.
Well, one hopes so. I mean, I'm excited to see Tyrone Kane bowl. I haven't seen much of him in the past, but Murtagh and Rankin certainly two established bowlers that we know can bowl at first class level at least. Kane looks exciting, if a little bit wayward so far.
Here he comes now, bowls to Shafiq. Again, it's wide outside the off stump, nearly called a wide, but he gets away with it. Yes, young Tyrone Kane, just 23 years old, the man from Dublin. Only actually taken 9 first-class wickets, so he's very inexperienced, and a huge occasion for him in contrast to the very experienced opening attack. And Tim Murtagh's used all of the experience there, getting Iman al-Haq, LBW for 7, and then Azhar Ali caught Porterfield, bowled Rankin for 4. Pakistan 15 for 2.
What a time to come on, though, with licence to bowl quickly at 15 for 2.
He comes in now. Well, that's better directed, getting his radar more accurate. A little bit of pace there, and but again, Asad Shafiq doesn't have to play a shot, so he's getting some useful sighters here. And the pressure slightly coming off, but wonderful start for Pakistan, 15 for 2.
It was funny, the running between the wickets, wasn't it? You mentioned Haris Sohail nearly run out without facing a ball in the last over. Imam al-Haq, of course, nearly run out without facing a ball in the first over, within the first ball of the test match. And for him, that was actually 2 consecutive balls on tour that he suffered collisions, because he ran out Azhar Ali in the second innings against Northants after a collision.
Here comes Kane. He bowls, and that's better directed. It's pushed out onto the offside by Shafiq. They think about a single, but there's no run. That's the end of that first over. Tyrone Kane's first over in Test match cricket, and it's 15 for 2 Pakistan, and 10 overs have gone.
Just do some tweets. So yeah, Gary Naylor, who's one of our regular commentators who couldn't be here this week, unfortunately. Wish you well, Gary. He says Tyrone Kane should really play for Somerset. He'd make a killer combination with their captain Tom Abel. We've got a few other nice first-time listeners. Will Dawes, loving your coverage this morning. David Brooke, particularly impressive lead commentator. Daniel, this is my first time listening to Guerrilla Cricket. I'm really enjoying it. Cannot believe it's taken so long to get on board. Please spread the word. And everyone is thrilled for Tim Murtagh. Middlesex and county cricket fans alike. It is all important. 713th Test wicket, or first class wicket. What a legend.
Murtagh again in now, starting new over. Bowls to Haris Sohail. Ropes at that one. It's good stuff from Tim Murtagh. He's fetching it absolutely spot on. That one angled across the left-handed Haris Sohail.
I mean, that's the perfect delivery, and it's on a good length. It's drawing the batsman forward. It's forcing him to play. He's bowling over the wicket to the left-hander, but bowling fairly close to the stumps as well, so that Haris Sohail doesn't feel like he can leave the ball. He's been very impressive so far, Tim Murtagh, just getting it to nip away.
Murtagh in to Sohail. That's nice length and a bit of swing there for Murtagh. A bit of groping from Haris Sohail. Doesn't make contact, gone through to the wicket-keeper. Murtagh's radar is absolutely spot on.
Because it's so tough for the batsman, because if that ball comes in, he's plumb LBW. He has to play at that ball. And Murtagh, using all of his experience, he may not be up in the kind of high 80s pace-wise, but when he bowls well, he is very difficult for an opening batsman to play. Touch of green in the wicket. And the ability to move the ball and bowl accurately is at a premium here, and Tim Murtagh does that with bells on. He's gripping the ball down the seam, comes into bowl now over the wicket to the left-handed Haris Sohail, again slanted across him. Haris Sohail leaves that one, lets that one go through to wicketkeeper O'Brien. What an occasion here this morning. The ground looks an absolute picture. Okay, we had to wait a day to get started, but it was worth the wait, and it's a beautiful setting here at Malahide, Dublin, and a wonderful ground with a lot of temporary stands being erected. Good crowd in today, big hospitality tent, a lot going on in there.
and big occasion.
And of course,
for
they've been
Irish
playing cricket here since 1861 in Malahide, so it's not, cricket itself isn't new to them, but this occasion certainly is.
Here's Murtagh. He bowls to Sahel, who's solidly forward, defensive, pushes that out onto the offside. Yes, it's not a passing fad. Cricket in Ireland has a long history, David. You've been chronicling it.
Well, it does, yes. I mean, cricket in Ireland's first dated back to about 1792, when the British Army garrisons tried to export the game, partly as a way of keeping the English and the Irish united against the French, who were revolting at the time. Since then, we've seen, what, 220 years or so of largely club cricket. Malahide, as I say, was founded in 1861.
Here's Murtagh into Haris Sahel. That gets a bit of bounce from Murtagh, and that's left by Sohail. 15 for 2, Pakistan.
And of course, everyone remembers the wonderful the win against Pakistan in the 2007 World Cup, where they skittled them for 132 and then knocked off the runs. And that incredible, one of the greatest one-day internationals of all time, when they beat England in the 2011 World Cup. And all of these things have contributed to the rise in Irish cricket. And finally, they've got their first Test match, and it gave me goosebumps sitting out there and listening to the national anthem earlier on.
Especially Rog singing along.
Here's Murtagh bowls, and that's Sohail takes his hand off the bat, so that gets a bit of bounce, pushed out onto the offside. Another excellent over from Tim Murtagh, who's really risen to this occasion. 6 overs he's bowled. Murtagh 6 overs, 1 for 9, 1 maiden, 1 for 9. He's taken a wicket. Boyd Rankin taken the other wicket, though. He's pulled out the attack straight away. After that, a bit surprisingly perhaps, Pakistan 15 for 2.
And Woy Woy Pom Pom makes the remark that Murtagh is doing a good impression of Jimmy Anderson, you know, with that opening spell.
It's a very Anderson type spell, actually. I mean, and particularly Anderson in his later years, where he's not up to the kind of higher paces either. Great control of the ball, great ability to draw the batsman forward and then nip it away from him at the last minute. I'm not sure that Murtagh has quite the in-swinger that Anderson does, but at the same time, it's been very impressive.
Here's Kane. He runs in fast over the wicket, getting some away swing, but again, just slightly too wide outside the off stump. So Asad Shafiq is getting plenty of sighters here. Tyrone Kane, 23 years old, floppy-haired, and big occasion for him. A lot of experience and depth in the Ireland split cordon. Two big units there, David.
Absolutely, yeah, and it will really help Tyrone Kane as well that they're 2 wickets down, because a couple of these wide balls, had that not been the case, might have been hit away for 4, but his confidence will be boosted by the fact he hasn't gone for many yet.
He's running into bowl now. That's better directed and pushes Asad Shafiq onto the back foot. He pushes that out into the covers, and there's no run.
We have a wonderful stat in from our friends at CricViz, who are going to bring us stats every so often today.
CricViz Stat of the Hour.
Brought to you by CricViz.
Our first CricViz Stat of the Hour will come after this delivery from Tyrone Kane.
Kane bowls to Shafiq. That's outside the off stump. Gets a lot of bounce, though, a lot of carry, so signs of some early pace from Tyrone Kane.
And what a stat it is from CricViz. Ireland have found the edge of the bat today so far once every 5 balls, which is remarkable. The average in tests, by the way, is once every 16, and that gives you some idea of just how well Tim Murtagh in particular has bowled this morning.
Excellent stat. Thank you very much. How appropriate. David Franklin, our stats man, mathematical guru. It's appropriate that he should read out that first
love a good stat.
Here's Tyrone Kane running into bowl over the wicket to Shafiq. That's better directed. Shafiq beaten outside the off stump. So Tyrone Kane beginning to find his radar here, and that was a good delivery, and had Shafiq groping for that one outside the off stump. Get a bit of a swing.
Then that swing and movement off the pitch as well. I thought at first when I saw that he was fishing at one he didn't need to, but that really did angle into him and then move away. It was a tough ball to play that for Asad Shafiq, who is still on naught. He's faced 15 balls, and Tyrone Kane will be up for this. I think he will fancy Asad Shafiq here.
He runs in now over the wicket. That's well directed again, and Shafiq is on the back foot playing that one out, getting Tyrone Kane getting lots of encouragement from the Irish slip cordon. An experienced and how shall we say, generously built slip cordon. Gary Wilson and Paul Sterling at 1 and 2.
They won't let much through there.
no gaps.
But it is wonderful to see Ireland with 5 slips today on their test debut against Pakistan. We've got 5 slips, a cover, a mid-off, a mid-wicket, and a deep backward square leg.
It's Kane who runs in now, bowls, and Shafiq looks for a single, pushes that onto the offside, and Sohail's certainly not interested in that. There wasn't one there. That's a much better over from Tyrone Kane. He'll be much happier with that. End of that over from Kane. It's 15 for 2, Pakistan.
Jay Grover's with us. I've never seen Tyrone Kane play before, but he is possibly the best name ever for either a heavyweight boxer or a spaghetti western villain. Peter Boers, great to hear live ball-by-ball commentary here in Ireland from an Aussie who was there yesterday for the first abandoned day of Irish Test cricket. We feel for everyone that was here yesterday and couldn't make it back for the rest of the Test. I hope that you get to see Ireland in Test cricket very soon.
And a huge tribute to Warren Dutram and the team at Cricket Ireland for achieving full Test status and Ireland's first ever men's Test match. It's Murtagh to continue here now. He bowls to Sohail. Sohail leaves that one outside the off stump. But again, it's well directed from Murtagh. Shout out to Peter, who's in Portsmouth, South Sea. He's on his back, a bit of a back problem today, and he's able to enjoy this coverage from a horizontal position. Shouldn't matter when it's audio. And wishing you speedy recovery, Pete. And a wonderful occasion, this. Haris Sohail. If any nerves today have been really the Pakistan team, they're the ones who've been looking nervy. A lot of prodding and pushing around and some comical running between the wickets. Here's Murtagh bowls over the wicket to Sohail. He pushes that one to leg side. They're going to get a single there, a comfortable one down to long leg, and that takes Haris Sohail off the marks. Oh, sorry, he goes on to 2, and it's Shafiq who's still on no score, having faced, as you say, 17 balls.
It will be good for Murtagh to have a bowl at Shafiq as well, the right-hander. So Murtagh's bowling so well, coming over the wicket to the left-hander and getting it to nip away. It will be interesting to see if he can repeat the trick to Shafiq, who of course is still not off the mark. In fact, Ireland are putting in a short leg, which for someone of Tim Murtagh's pace, often not even at 80 miles an hour, just shows how aggressive they're being this morning.
Murtagh running in, the slips are waiting, and that's beaten Shafiq outside the off stump again. Murtagh getting his radar absolutely right. He's actually landing on a handkerchief out there.
He is. It's been such an impressive start from him. Again, it's loopy, isn't it? There's no great pace to that. I mean, that must be coming down at mid-70s or so, but it's just taken a little tweak off the pitch.
Well, we're not in Australia now, David. We don't need just to rely on sheer pace. This is much more helpful conditions. It's early season. It's a green top. Murtagh's going to be loving this. He's been doing it for Middlesex year in, year out. Over 700 first-class wickets. A lot of experience. He comes into bowl outside the off-stump. Lets Shafiq have a good look at that one. That was a little bit wider outside the off-stump. But he's certainly, these Pakistan batsmen have been keeping the slips interested all the way through this first session. Good toss to win from William Porterfield. He'd been delighted to have inserted Pakistan this morning, because there's no doubt these are helpful conditions. The ball is swinging and seaming, but it's Murtagh and Rankin have really exploited the conditions well.
We got some tweets. Major Percy Flage, by Jove, as if I just heard the Guerrilla Cricket chaps making reference to when the regiment played at Malahide.
Next ball is just played out quietly by Shafiq, and the short leg has actually come into action on that one. I'm not quite sure who that is under the lid. We'll get that fielder recognised for you in a moment. And flicked it ball back into play.
I think it's Rankin. He's very tall.
Well be Boyd Rankin underneath
or
that.
No, it's not him at mid-on. No.
We'll identify him in a moment. He's pretty close in there. Short leg. There are definitely Sterling and Wilson in slips 1 and 2. Waterfield in number 4 position as Murtagh comes into bowl. That's pitched up by Shafiq. It's over pitched by Murtagh. Shafiq drives nicely through mid-off. There's going to be a chase here. This is Rankin who's going to field that, and they're going to come back for a couple. So first ball that Murtagh's really over pitched, but another good over for him. He's been asking questions all morning. 1 for 12 for Murtagh, and Pakistan at the end of that over are 16 for 2.
And that was Shafiq's 21st ball that it took him to get off the mark, so he will be happy with that. Always nice as a batsman when you get off that duck. But Ireland's still very much on top here in Malahide. It's been a real test match morning, hasn't it? The real kind of nerves on display, mostly from the Pakistan team, and proper probing bowling from both Murtagh and Rankin. Tyrone Kane still yet to kind of find his radar, but quick.
But I absolutely agree. It's a great test match occasion. This is a real shot in the arm for test match cricket.
Yeah.
This game, Ireland's achieving full status. Test cricket needs a shot in the arm. You know, a lot of the focus these days is on white ball cricket and T20, and this is a tremendous boost for Test cricket.
Test cricket needs expansion, and it's needed it for some time. It's been wonderful to see Ireland conduct themselves so creditably so far this morning.
Kane runs in, bowls, that's on the leg stump, and so Hale is able to tuck that one through to square leg. Yeah, the result of a lot of work from Ireland. We chatted to Warren Dutrom yesterday. He came and joined us during one of the long breaks. Well, it was one long break, wasn't it? No play yesterday. And he talked about that moment in June 2017, when, just as agenda item 9 on the ICC agenda, said it was a surreal moment. There was no cheering like a la award of the Olympic Games to London. It was just item number 9. Yep, Ireland, Afghanistan, you're in. Here's Kane, bowls, and that's over-pitched. So Hale is able to push that one through mid-off. This could be a comfortable boundary. It's coming in just in front of us in the commentary position, and that's Sohail's first boundary. He moves on to 6. He's got a lot of experience, this Haris Sohail, and he's going to need to draw on that. And of course, as has Shafiq. Shafiq, 58 test matches at the other end, 11 centuries, and Haris Sohail, plenty of experience there as well. So they're going to need that. Sohail's, most of his runs have come in one-day cricket, and he played 2 test matches, high score of 76.
2 + 2 is a remember.
Kane bowls to Sohail. Sohail pushes that one to the offside, and there's no run. Of course, Pakistan, a very different team than last time when they toured Ireland and England. No Misbah and no Yunus Khan, so it's a team that's been rebuilding. All the experience is with Ireland. They've got a lot more first-class experience than the Pakistan team. That's why it's so strange. 67 years difference between the experiences.
They're on to the Richie Benaud score, Pakistan. 2 for 22.
Perfectly enunciated. Kane bowls outside the off stump, and that's a good take. O'Brien behind the stumps there, having to dive in front of second slip to take that. Yes, I'm going to have a go now. 2 for 22.
I think that was better than mine. Well, we had, for anyone that was dutiful and faithful enough to listen to us yesterday while it was so dark, we have a wonderful Richie Benaud impersonation jingle which goes on for about 2 minutes, talking about how dark it is outside and how dark and scary.
Here's Kane. He's running in over the wicket to Sohail. That's wide outside the off stump. Sohail is able to lead that one, but Kane's having to get his radar, bowling to the left-hander. So all of this game, uninterrupted coverage on GorillaCricket.com. Absolutely thrilled to be here for Ireland's first Test match. Also Facebook /Gorilla Cricket on Facebook Live, and we'll be here for the entire duration. And Gorilla Cricket are here in force, and you can enjoy coverage and features on the Gorilla Cricket website as well, GorillaCricket.com. Here's Kane bowling over the wicket to Sohail, and Sohail leaves that one, but good pace from Kane. He'll be encouraged by that, and about to hand over the ball-by-ball commentary at the end of that. I'm going to pass you over to Tony, who's going to take over the coverage. Pakistan 22 for 2 off 14 overs.
I'll just do some tweets whilst we switch positions. Welcome to all our new followers, various people listening on the ground. Welcome to you all. People just asking what ball are they using. It's the Duke ball that is being used in this Test match. There's just alongside. There's people in the ground. I mean, we normally have a sort of backing track when we do Gorilla Cricket, but as we're at the ground, we have the effects mic, so you can hear all the noise. But people are regular listeners are finding it a bit weird not to hear the little instance. As I'll leave you and welcome Tony.
Yes, good morning everyone, and we're going to have a bowling change up at the Malahide Road end. It looks like Boyd Rankin is coming back to bowl from the top end. And he's bowling to 3 slips and a gully in place next to Gary Wilson. He's a right arm over and in now. And that is just let comfortably through there into the gloves of Gary Wilson. Absolutely extraordinary morning's cricket we've had here. Incident off the first ball, a full pitch ball by Murtagh that was just dug out. But then Al Hook got himself in a tangle and was down injured for a while. We've had first test wickets for Rankin and for Murtagh. It's really been all go. And Rankin is in again, and he's over the wicket. And that is a close one. There's a big shout. Just sliding away down leg for my fancy. Gary Wilson was galloping away towards leg side to pick that up.
Yeah, it did look like it was going down. Good morning, everybody, by the way. It's lovely to be here in Ireland. The sun is shining. And what an exciting day's cricket, isn't it?
It certainly is.
There's a buzz about the ground as well. There's a strong turnout as well. A lot of support for Ireland, and they're enjoying it.
Rankin is in, and Shafiq is ready. Really putting his back into it is Boyd Rankin. All 6'7" or 6'8" of back. Well, not all of it is back, obviously. Quite a lot of it is leg. But nonetheless, that's a considerable frame to be. Imagine how tall he'd be if it was all back. That would be extraordinary, wouldn't it?
I don't know. He might have to go more side on in his batting, in his bowling action.
Yeah, it would. But he's buoyed up, no pun intended, by that first wicket. He's in again, right arm over. This time Shafiq is forward and was nicely on top of that. There's a man at point who just strolls in, completes the fielding, and the ball will work its way back to Boyd Rankin. The scene here is really gorgeous. We have a lot of blue sky, which after yesterday is an absolute blessing. We have a lot of fluffy cloud, most of it white, some of it a little dark here and there, but it's certainly not spoiling the fun we're having this morning. In comes Rankin again, and squares Shafiq up a little bit. Just certainly wasn't the centre of the bat there of Shafiq. Just squirted away to mid-off, and there's no run.
Yeah, top of the morning to you.
Good morning, Grubby. How are you?
It's yeah, I'm very, very well and delighted to be here after some Aer Lingus shenanigans on the way over.
You flew in. You got here this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Actually, some of us have been enjoying Dublin's hospitality. In comes Rankin again, right arm over. This one is a ball of fullish length outside the off stump of Shafiq. And Gary Wilson can pouch that and brings to the end another effective over. No wicket, but another good over. Now, are we going to see Tyrone Kane again?
A couple of tweets have come through. Sean Roberts, wonderful occasion for Test cricket in Ireland, but just as good to hear comms and jingles from the ground. Thank you, Sean. Sian Kennedy says, thanks a million. He's not pleased about the way the cricket is being broadcast on television. Ravi Nair, how are you, my beloved pal from 1414? He says that's active now as on tweets. Can we have a little iconoclasm, please? You put in that word deliberately.
Iconoclasm. Well, it's testing us out already, isn't it?
Dave Wood, hello Dave Wood. I'm happy to see your name as well. Did I just hear someone say Rankin took his first Test wicket today?
It's going to be Haris Sahel. Yes, they did. He certainly did. I'll give you details of that in a minute. But at the moment, it's going to be Tyrone Kane from the Castle end, and he's bowling to Haris Sahel, the left-handed Haris Sahel. It's up to the wicket. He bowls, and Haris Sahel can shoulder arms at that, and it's through to Gary Wilson, and there is no run.
I've got to tell you, it's somewhat terrifying this morning, having watched those first two wickets fall as a Pakistan supporter. Because, I mean, there's been some very unconvincing leaves happening this morning. It is a greenish wicket still, and the ball is taking off from a length as well.
It is. Well, when I spoke to Tim Murtagh last week when he was at Sussex, he said, give me a green top and a little bit of movement, and I fancy myself. And he was particularly looking forward to bowling to Al Hook, which he got the chance to do, of course.
He did.
In comes Tyrone Kane. That one's a ball of foolish length, and this is just cover driven away. The man at point is galloping after it. I can't quite see who that is as they've gone out of our sight there. And they will come through for two, and nearly overthrows as well.
Yeah.
Buzzers.
The other thing we've seen of this morning has been some slightly comedic running. I think nerves on both sides, even though Ireland, in fact, have I think 3 of the oldest, or at least 2 of the oldest Test debutants.
I mean, Pakistan historically have not been known for their strong running between the wickets.
Well, and it's a family trait, isn't it, in the Al Hook family, of course. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised. Fortunately, the lad was all right, but I think it was Tyrone Kane he collided with.
He did, yeah.
He then sort of bounced off Kane and into Gary Wilson's hip.
It's not a first ball that he'll forget in a hurry.
Well,
or the rest of us who witnessed it.
Historically, for Ireland cricket. Anyway, in comes Tyrone Kane, his bustling run up, his right arm over. And I have to say, that was so close. It was stretching forward, took the outside edge, but was wide of third slip and will race away to third man in front of the Players' Pavilion. Next to the press box and the scoreboard over there at the Malahide Road end.
I don't know. He looked reasonably in control of it.
Really?
You think so?
Straight off the outside edge above head height?
No, I don't know, but like in a gap. I'm getting a lot of love on Twitter. This is really, really nice. I will read some of these out at the end of the over.
There's endorphins flowing over there, Atif. It's nice.
It's going to be Tyrone Kane once more. He's in, and again, Harris Hale is forward. This time, no run.
So, Rana says, great way to spend Saturday. Atif Nawaz, good to hear you commentating on cricket. Thank you, mate. Messi Jez says, welcome home, Atif Nawaz.
Hey,
good
Messi.
to know that fame hasn't spoiled you too much. Still prepared to mix it up with the Gorilla Riffraff. Well,
some of us were spoiled before.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sydenham was too far to go. Dublin was a bit closer, I thought. Who's this? Oh, Jay Grover says, hang on, is that Atif? Mint! I haven't heard the man for yonks. Welcome back, old friend.
In comes Tyrone Kane. Up onto his toes goes Asad Shafiq, and they will take a single as the ball has moved out into the covers.
Boyd Rankin, did he not, according to Man Notes, which you and Knuckle put together?
We did.
And I've been stealing everyone's work. Did he not take one wicket on debut, which was the last wicket of the Australian second innings?
He did, and it was the man I like to think of now as the man in the woolly hat, because I think it was Peter Siddle. Who, of course, was
Peter 18 Bananas Siddle.
Yes, who now, of course, has been bowling this season wearing a woolly hat. It's been that cold. In comes Tyrone Kane. This one is shouldered arms to by the left-hander, and it is through to Gary Wilson. There's no run.
More love for me, man. Last one I'll do, honestly. Thank you, guys. You're embarrassing me. First, we take Malahide. Says, Atif, how delightful to hear your voice again. Hope things are well. What an enthralling session so far.
It's been extraordinary. Well, yes, indeed. And Pakistan are 30-for-2. Those 2 wickets to fall were, of course, Azhar Ali, the first test wicket for Ireland, falling Court Porterfield bowled Boyd Rankin. And then the wicket he wanted, having bowled to his uncle, well, more years ago than Tim Murtagh cared to remember, but kind of a closing of a loop, because he got his nephew Imam Ul-Haq LBW to Murtagh for 7. So those are the 2 wickets that have fallen this morning.
And it was 2 in 2 balls, wasn't it? And then we very nearly had a team hat-trick because there was a
run-out as well, wasn't it?
Away from the run-out, yeah.
Anyway, it's Boyd Rankin again. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and that has, short of a length, has caught the right-hander in the midriff. He's walking away, but I think he's...
we can still say in the bollocks, can't we, even now we're official?
Occasionally we can. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was the aforementioned.
I think it was just to the right of that area.
Just to the right of that area?
It was groinal.
Upper thigh?
Yeah, groinal.
Groinal?
The groinal region.
Groinal.
The outskirts of the groin.
Okay, the outskirts of the groin. I thought it was a region in Ireland, wasn't it? Anyway, in comes Boyd Rankin, and left shouldered arms that time by the right-handed Asad Shafiq.
It took off that one, didn't it?
It did take off a little bit. There is some variable bounce out there.
I fear for Pakistan because, I mean, the weather's forecast to be quite sunny, so it will dry out over the next couple of... So if Ireland time this right, they'll get the best of the conditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You made the point earlier, Tony, as well, that sometimes Boyd Rankin, as he bowls it, the ball's on its way down to the keeper, which means he's probably bowling a little bit too short.
Could be. He's in again. He's right arm over. Shafiq is able to lift his bat imperiously out of the way of that and let that the ball through to Gary Wilson.
Lovely batsman.
Ground, he is very stylish, isn't he? The ground is really starting to fill up. As I look to my right, temporary stands, we can see the hospitality area. To the right of that, there's a large temporary stand. That's probably now 3/4 full. All the seating on the offside, as we look at it, is again filling up. We see a Norwegian flag, interestingly enough. In comes Boyd Rankin. This is just airing down the leg side a little bit, and Gary Wilson. There's a few hands on heads, perhaps thinking there might be chance of a leg side strangle, but never really looked like it.
What is that Norwegian flag about? It's something to do with Eurovision, probably, isn't it?
Oh, did they win? I have no clue. That was, or is it tonight?
It's tonight.
There's a big Pakistani community in Norway.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means anything to anybody.
Yeah, perhaps.
Well, that could well be it. I think let's hope it's that rather than Eurovision.
Pakistani Norwegians on tour. Cyprus is the bet tonight, by the way, for Eurovision.
Well, good to know. I want to know the odds as well. Rankin is in, and up onto his toes goes Shafiq, and he works this away to square leg, a deepish square leg. The ball is in, and they've jogged through for a comfortable single, which is a lot more comfortable than some of the skittish running we saw in the first 2 or 3 overs when a couple of the Pakistan batsmen really looked like they've only just been introduced to each other. It really was a bit of a scramble here and there, wasn't it?
Meeting mid-pitch.
Do you know, watching the drills before the game, it looked like there was something they were kind of working on.
That makes it even more hilarious, doesn't it?
I mean, guys.
I mean, it's really funny to watch, but it must be horrendous to be involved in that sort of thing. It's almost like you can't get out of that rut once you're in it.
Yeah.
You know the problem's there, and it's just not going to go away.
We are just waiting now.
I'll give you a tweet while we do wait.
That's Harris Sahel.
Oh.
Yes, is waiting. Sorry,
he's still waiting? Oh, yeah, okay. So Runner says, first time watching Kane bowl. Man is a walking, talking back injury waiting to happen with that action.
He's certainly, well, yeah, he's very physical. Runs in really hard and totally bends his back.
There's a bit of a delay. What's happening?
Something is happening here. We're not.
Oh, it's the side screen. Yeah, the side screen.
The side screen's being moved.
There was a big. There's a graphic on there, a big sponsors graphic, which they wanted to remove, I think, but it's gone now.
Quite right. So they should, to be honest.
It's still kind of flickering. It's gone to an orange colour.
And Harris Sahel looks distinctly unimpressed with the proceedings. You know, he probably has a right to expect the side screen to be ready for him. As Boyd Rankin is into the left-hander now. Sahel shoulders, arms, and that's through to Gary Wilson. And that concludes that Boyd Rankin over.
Yeah, okay, some more tweets. Sorry, Cricket Vixen. It's Lizzie H. She says, so Sky Sports got the rights to the first test and then put it behind the red button. Guerrilla Cricket may be audio only, but it is tops. Geo blocks free, and most importantly, not behind the red button.
Uninterrupted coverage.
Uninterrupted coverage. That's what Cricket Ireland craved. That's what we promised, and it absolutely thrilled to little pieces to be here. We all are. But it's such a sense of occasion. I mean, we were out, obviously it was rained off yesterday, so we got out and about in Dublin a little bit, and a palpable sense of excitement, fueled by quite a few Guinnesses in most of the places we were, I have to say. But nonetheless, it was a palpable sense of excitement.
I think Cricket Ireland done a really good job kind of promoting. Even the taxi driver this morning that brought me from the airport to the ground, though not knowing much about cricket, knew there was a big match happening.
It's going to be Tyrone Kane once more. This is through past the right-handed Asid Shafiq's bat. He stays on 8 not out.
Whereas the
Pakistan on 31 for 2.
Beg your pardon. Whereas the taxi driver who brought me here this morning was delighted it was rained off yesterday because she had a tour group to Malahide Castle. So, you know, maybe there's still a bit of work to do to spread the love among the taxi community.
Well, one of us got picked up by someone who was saying, you know, didn't even know whether it was a 5-day game or not. They picked up as in by a taxi driver, not picked up in a pub. In comes Tyrone Kane, bustling run he has. And this again is outside of Asid Shafiq's off stump, and it's through to Gary Wilson, and there is no run.
Les Butterworth says, I think that region is called the Grain in Irish.
The Grain, is it?
Hashtag groin. Yeah.
That is good to know.
Jay Grover says, the Battle of the Groin still leaves scars.
Oh, very good.
The Battle of the Groin, I like it.
Short Third Man says, Ireland's economy must be booming because its capital is Dublin.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I like it. In comes...
I can't endorse that.
In comes Kane now, right arm over, and stretching forward a little bit was Asid Shafiq. There's a man at point, and there's no run. Now, you have to think about young Tyrone Kane here. Well, young, I say young. He's 23, so he's not a complete baby. This is only his 4th first-class match.
Wow.
Only his 4th first-class match.
And it's a test.
And it's a test match.
So historically, can you think of any English players maybe who've debuted that quickly?
That's a good question. I might need to come back to you because we'd have to ask our resident statistician who's disappeared temporarily. In comes Kane, right arm over. Forward comes Shafiq, and there is no run. Yes, only his 4th first-class match. 9 wickets to his name, best bowling performance of 3 for 45, and an economy rate of just over 2 between 2 and 3, an average of 23. So he's certainly impressed in his first games, playing for Leinster, where he's picked up most of his career experience as Tyrone Kane. He's back towards us, he turns and he's beginning his run up again now, and he's right arm over and in. And Shafiq is forward. It's through ankle height this time to Gary Wilson. So there again was just a little hint that the ball got up, but it got down again fairly quickly. Pakistan stay as they have been for a while on 31 for 2. We're in the 18th over, and 17 have been fairly eventful.
They have.
The cheers around the ground when that first wicket went down, and then of course 2 and 2 because change of ends, change of bowler, but then Tim Murtagh came to the party.
We hadn't got our breath, had we?
We hadn't got our breath.
All of a sudden, a 2 were down.
And then there was nearly a run out as well. As in comes Kane, right arm over. Forward is Shafiq. This time there's a lot higher bounce. Gary Wilson takes that on his toes at chest height, and it concludes that Tyrone Kane over.
Gareth Norris says, been directed to Guerrilla Cricket for Ireland versus Pakistan commentary, and it's top-notch stuff.
Quite right. Thank you very much indeed.
Who directed you? We'll give him a shout out.
Yeah, thank you for. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Maya Kohli says Oslo has a massive Pakistani population. They're probably on a weekend trip to check out this great city and catch some Test cricket.
Yes.
Paul Kemp says, great to hear Atif back on the air, and that grubby got himself to Dublin.
He did. Thank you, Kempers. Good to have you with us.
Right, what else is going on? How much are Pakistan getting here, guys? Bit of movement, bit of bounce, few wickets, a run out or 2, maybe 250 all out. Well, Rana, I think 250 will be a bit of a stretch at the moment.
Well, these two have steadied the ship somewhat. Have Haris Sohail and Asad Shafiq. It is going to be Boyd Rankin again from the Malahide Road end.
Ravi Neer asks, are those prescription sunglasses you're wearing, Atif? Or is it just the Northwest London style these days? Can he see me? Can we be seen? Are we being
we're on
seen?
Facebook Live.
Oh, wow.
We're on Facebook. One of the many ways you can listen to us.
Hello, grudging watchers.
In comes Boyd Rankin. And Haris Sohail is able to let that by and through to Gary Wilson. Yes, there's a number of ways you can listen to us. You can get us obviously on our website, guerillacricket.com. You could get us via Cricket 365, who are kindly taking our feed. You can get us via TuneIn. And you can get us on Facebook. So the word is out. The word is being spread.
And if you're hearing this, presume you are doing one of those
things. And you're already doing one of those things.
If not more than one.
Indeed. Yes, you may well
Don't be afraid to dual screen.
Comes Boyd Rankin. This one is down the leg side of Sohail. It got a bit of lift. And for a moment, I think he was trying to maybe tickle that away down to long leg. But never really got close.
It's a dangerous shot.
Through. It was a slightly dangerous shot. You've seen those where... well, I think to be fair to Haris Sohail, he did sort of withdraw the bat from the shot.
Well, it was kind of.
But he definitely thought about the leg side tickle, didn't he?
Well, yeah, it was like a leg side version of a sort of cover drive waft.
There's Boyd Rankin is going to be in once more. And that's a good length ball. Haris Sohail is comfortably able to leave that, and the ball is tossed between the slips. There's a very familiar figure that we can see, the not inconsiderable. Behind of, which is the fantastic Paul Sterling.
Paul Sterling.
One
interesting thing from earlier was that Rankin took that first wicket, as you've described, Tony, and then he was summarily whipped out of the attack, wasn't he?
Well, I think they were looking at the change of ends, which is now what they've done. As the Rankin is in once again, and that ball climbs, and Sohail got nicely on top of that, just to dab it down. Nice soft hands between third slip and gully. All 3 slips went careering after it, which is a kind of a sense of how just on their toes the Irish team are this morning.
Yeah, they're really up for the challenge.
They were up for it anyway. Yeah. And, to get those 2 early wickets, well, my goodness me, it's like all their dreams and Christmases come true. And as I say, they're just the feeling around it, of goodwill around the ground.
It's a big match this for Haris Sohail as well. He's got something to prove at this position.
Well, yes, I want to ask you a little bit about him in a minute, as Rankin is in, and once again Haris Sohail is able to let that through to Gary Wilson. There's no run. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about his form. I mean, this is only his 3rd test, I think, although he averages something like 44. He was in good nick at Northants, I think, wasn't he?
He was. He did quite well in the tour matches. One of the few Pakistani batsmen who did. Yeah, he was kind of introduced into the Pakistan team a few years ago, but in that very inconsistent way that they do sometimes with new young players, is they throw him in at number 6 or 7, where it's very difficult to make an impression, certainly in one-day cricket.
In comes Boyd Rankin, and that's beautifully driven away. It's not going to make it all the way to the boundary, but it was a stylish cover drive, and they'll jog a comfortable 2.
I was actually sitting on the grass a little bit earlier, and my bottom is still a little bit damp from the grass, so I imagine that's contributing to the slow outfield.
Your arse? Your arse is contributing to the slow outfield.
I have a very influential arse. So a few more tweets. Gary Naylor, the legend that is Gary Naylor, says,
like Gary.
He says, if Ireland's economy is booming with its capital, what about Libya's? Tripoli. Very good.
Very good. It's either
good.
Dublin or Tripoli. Very good.
What's going on? And Rollo75 says Joe Root made 73 on debut against India, and that was pretty stellar, beginning to a test career.
We have a change of bowling.
Nice.
The Castle End, and it is going to be
this man.
Stuart Thompson.
Short, sweet.
I felt like there was more coming there. I feel a little bit underwhelmed.
Mog often leaves you wanting more, don't you, Mog?
He does. That's Mog's style as one of our esteemed jingle writers.
Michael Wagner is saying Kane's bowling action is reminiscent of a West Indian. That way that his leading arm goes out wide is quite unusual outside of the Caribbean. There's a lot of analysis on Kane's bowling action, isn't there?
Which West Indian bowler are they referring to there, Ant?
I think he's just going for a general West Indian bowling action.
Very
Pedro Collins, perhaps?
Very warm round of applause for Thompson. Slightly balding figure. He is going to be right arm over the wicket to Asad Shafiq, and good, accurate ball on middle and off, and so Shafiq is able to just lean into that, push it away to mid-wicket, and there is no run.
Tail End Slogger, got it, says Rogers fielded in glasses but wore contact lenses when batting. Both he and Matthew Wade were colourblind, though.
Chris Rogers, yes, he was. Yeah. He was indeed colourblind, yes. As Thompson is going to be in again, right arm over. This one's quite wide of off stump.
Wow.
And it's actually given as a wide. Well, it wasn't the first ball. His first ball in Test cricket was on the money. The second one, most definitely, I'm afraid, was not. Now this.
Wide.
Perfect. It was not perfect because it was wide.
Perfect jingle.
Perfect jingle for the occasion.
One of my all-time favourites.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And in comes Stuart Thompson again. He's bustling up to the wicket now. And his slash. Oh, well, what is it they say if you're going to slash hard? And Asad Shafiq threw the kitchen sink at that. Missed, or I think just got an outside edge. There's no signal from the umpire. So it's away over the slip cordon for 4.
Yes, I've got 4.
Well, we've had a bit of Bertie Bassett's all sorts in this over, haven't we? We've had a pretty good first ball. We've had a wide as a second ball, and then as a third ball. Could have taken his first scalp, but he didn't, and unfortunately cost him 4 runs.
That was terrifying.
In comes Thompson again. What was terrifying? Nicely lent into, but beautifully stopped at in the covers
by a diving giraffe.
Which can only be Boyd Rankin.
Mog says hi, Grubby. Hi.
Hi, Moggers.
Hello, Mog.
Yeah, and Paul Kemp points out that the last time I was on Guerrilla Cricket was apparently Ireland versus Pakistan in the 2015 World Cup. So obviously I'm a really big Ireland cricket fan.
There you go.
Obviously.
You're the common factor.
Obviously.
Thompson is going to be into the right-handed Shafiq. He's up to the wicket now. And again, that's quite wide. Not as wide as the one given as a wide, but nonetheless it was wasn't deemed worthy of getting the bat anywhere near by Asad Shafiq, and he was able to let it watch it through comfortably enough.
Young Tomo is not quite controlling his outswing at the moment.
Well, he's not. But there will be nerves. There will be nerves on all sides, I think.
There will be blood.
Certainly there will be blood. There will be nerves. Well, there nearly was blood off the very first ball, of course. As in comes Thompson, and just climbs a little bit on Asad Shafiq. He's again soft hands. He's able to jab down on that. There's a man at backward point, and there's no run.
Oh, the person that referred Gareth Norris to us has been revealed. It's Columbus Columbanus? No.
No, hey,
Columbanus 13.
My goodness me.
Well, I'll just call you Cole for short and say thank you very much.
That's some Twitter handle. Goodness me.
I've had my mishaps.
It's not one of those bots, is it?
Stuart Thompson. Unfortunately, didn't hear that. Andy is in, and this is beautifully worked off his legs by Asad Shafiq. Down to long leg, they will settle themselves with a single.
So from what we can gather so far, Stuart Thompson very much a part-time bowler.
Well,
as you say, it was a bit licorice all sorts there.
It was. It was.
And he averages 40 per wicket in his first-class career. So looked a little bit dibbly-dobbly, I thought.
Yeah. Although he could have had a wicket there.
They've got to be careful, Ireland, here as well, because these two, they can both bat, and they both have a point to prove as well, so they're certainly motivated, and if they can just play through this passage, they could build a partnership that will get Pakistan beyond 250 even. Though having said that, I may well have just cursed them.
No, don't do that.
Mayank Kohli says, ground staff boys to your right, fidgeting with the covers. Maybe some rain around? I don't think so.
Not yet.
No.
We sincerely hope not. There might be some during the day, later on, but we have clear blue skies above us at the moment, which is fantastic.
Ooh, change of bowling.
And we are going to see Tyrone Kane. Now they're Paul Field, he's mixing things up a bit, and he's
got a long jingle, so I'll start it now.
Tyrone Kane.
Yeah, maybe I see you do some.
Tyrone Kane is in. Oh, and cut away, and in fact went straight through point. He would be desperately disappointed because it really was really should have been fielded, but it's away to the boundary for 4 runs.
It did go through him, but it was hit hard.
It did. He really crunched it away through point.
Tyrone Kane, Tyrone Kane, Tyrone Kane.
Well, here he comes again from the Malahide Road end. And this one comfortably left by Shafiq to go through to the keeper, Gary Wilson. So 45 for 2, Pakistan. We're in the 21st over. Haris Sohail on 13, Asad Shafiq on 17, and a degree of ship steadying for sure after an enthralling and exciting opening session where 2 wickets fell, 1 to Murtagh, and with the first Test wicket in Ireland's Test history to Boyd Rankin. In comes Tyrone Kane once more. And this one beats Shafiq. All ends up. He was drawn into the shot. Just a whisker of a strip of paint away from edging that through. The Ireland players have their heads in, their hands on their heads, not their heads in the hands, but the other way around.
Jaffa.
That was it.
That
was terrifying,
wasn't it? Superb ball.
I tell you what, every time they play and miss like that, Pakistan, I think I get new white hair on my chest. I might be leaving here as Silver Fox.
Well, unfortunately, you haven't got your top off, so we can't see that. As in comes Kane, and again, that's he's fired up his cane.
Thank you for saying unfortunately. Kevin O'Brien says, loving it here in the stand, having a beer. The best thing about the coverage, no Graham Swan.
We have nothing against anybody. 3 slips. We're looking around in this beautiful, gorgeous, sunny Dublin day, or sunny Malahide day. We've got 3 slips, a gully. There's a man at point, mid-off and a mid-on, a mid-wicket, as in comes Tyrone Kane. That one died a little bit, didn't quite have the same lift and bounce. So there's no run.
Dave Wood says, damn, I'm listening to you on Simple Radio, not one of your listed methods.
A simple radio?
Simple radio, old school radio.
Old school radio.
How do you do that?
Actually, that's interesting. How have you managed that?
Oh, Woy Pom is there as well. He says, so what is the next Test match plan for Ireland? Will you cover Afghanistan's first test?
We were talking about that. We didn't discount the idea. As in comes Tyrone Kane now. And once again, Asad Shafiq is able to let that through to the wicketkeeper, Gary Wilson.
End of the over, and we're going to have a change up, aren't we? Yeah, here we go.
Goodness me, time has flied.
Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Bian,
Good afternoon, Rog Pineapple back on the mic, and I've got David Franklin and the Bear for the first time. Well, good afternoon, Bear. Welcome to Ireland.
Why, thank you very much. I was here not that long ago, actually, Rog. I came to a wedding in Kilkenny about 2 months ago. I like Ireland.
Yeah, well, I like it. It's nice to be back home. Pakistan are 45 for 2. They're not liking it too much themselves, but these middle order players are rebuilding as well, and the left-handed Harris faces up to Stuart Thompson in his second over. It's left alone. A tight line from Thompson through the keeper. So, 45 for 2. It's Harris on 13. Asad Shafiq has played a few more shots. He's on 17. But these two came together after they lost. Pakistan lost their openers to consecutive deliveries. Rankin picked up the first one, Azhar Ali nicking the second slip, and then Imam was LBW to Murtagh. Now the change bowlers are on. Thompson continues. This is good and straight and forcing Harris to defend out into the offside. There's no run.
I do like Asad Shafiq. I think he's a class batsman. Can really do with getting Azhar out early was a stroke of genius, really.
We saw him a couple of years ago score that excellent backup 100 to Eunice's double century,
exactly.
and he looked without a care in the world throughout the whole of that day.
He is a class batsman.
Thompson, his first over didn't go probably as he would please, but he's into the second over now. He's again making Harris play back to him. It's well fielded, good tighter lines. This all-rounder Stuart Thompson from the northwest plays his club cricket for Eglinton up there in the northwest, and he's sort of in the side as an all-rounder. He'll bowl it's medium pace really. He's no pretensions of anything quicker than that. The keeper is back. He's got 2 slips and the 4th slip. And he's got a cover ring and mid-on, a square leg and a long leg, and he starts his run up now. He's past umpire long and bowling a full one, and Harris drives back down the pitch. That's a good length from Thompson. Fielded well by mid-off, no run.
Yeah, he is no more than medium pace, Stuart Thompson, but he did have that ball in that last over where the batsman flashed outside off stump and it went to the boundary like a rocket.
That's true. If you're going to flash
hard.
Flash hard. Unfortunately, that one did my bet. I had under 44.5 for the full of the third wicket.
Well, Bear and your bets.
Well, I got the first one. Wasn't quick enough on the second.
Thompson again over the wicket, left-handed. This is nicely clipped through mid-wicket by Harris. He'll pick up a couple. Joyce at square leg is in pursuit. Slides and will return it in. Harris moving to 15. 47 for 2. Nice clip, but again, this nice full length from Thompson making the batsman play. But Harris is an elegant left-hander. He got ahead over that and just turned the wrists on it, not try to hit it too hard.
How do we think the wicket's playing? It seems quite true. I thought, I mean, your man did say yesterday, didn't he? He said it always looks like it's a green seamer, but it's actually quite a true wicket, and it does seem to be playing that way.
Thompson again, back of a length and punched straight to the man at point. Well fielded, and that's the end of the over.
We've been joined by some people on tweets. Bevancon Mike says, greetings from Miami on this great occasion. I've just had 5 guesses at the GPL. What's the pot today?
Well, the pot started at 38. I shall get out the current entries, and I will tell you who is on what. You get on with it, and I will quickly do
Yes, you can
that.
go to the Gorilla Cricket website and enter the Gorilla Prediction League any time before lunch. So how long have you got? You've got about half an hour, I think, before the competition shuts. You've got to guess how many runs are going to be scored in the day's play, and you can win an amount of money not inconsiderable, as Bear will enumerate in a minute. Peter Sullivan says, John Kenny put me on to you. Very entertaining, loving the jingles. Listening from Luxembourg.
Kane is in and back of a length. Take a quick single. Well played by Shafiq. He just dropped it and ran, and they got through comfortably enough. Thompson was onto it at point. The shy missed the stumps, but Harris would have been safe, and a single to Shafiq takes him to 18.
Yes, Peter Sullivan is listening from Luxembourg while cleaning out the garage, but would have loved to have been here. Well, I can tell you that it is an absolutely gorgeous day in Malahide. You know what? Yesterday was horrible. It was raining all day. We had hail at one point. It was dark and it was dank and it was generally awful. But today completely makes up for it, isn't it? It's one of the most beautiful days of Test cricket you could possibly imagine.
The shot of the Wags, and they're all in their sunnies there, sitting by the corporate, and they're watching Tyrone Kane run away from him and towards us, and very full. And Harris, the left-hander, drives back to him. He feels it in his own follow-through.
Graham Kelly says, thank God for Gorilla Cricket Radio. Hundreds of years waiting to see Ireland cricket play their first Test match, and I am defeated by Sky's red button. Well, you don't need any kind of red button here to get onto Gorilla Cricket. You can listen on the website via the tune-in feed. Either of those two, and you will be absolutely fine with us.
At the end of this over, we will give you something. We haven't even had a little jingle for it.
Slips go down as Kane runs in, and ball's full. It's well defended on the, but a good halfway length, sort of halfway footwork from Harris, but he was well in control of it. Played it up to mid-off. Kane in the second spell, he was the first change bowler from this the Castle end where we're commentating from. Now he's bustling in from the bottom end, and he's bowled pretty well. Young fella. He's again he's medium fast bowler, quite a slight fella, maybe about 5'9". And but he steams in, he gives it everything, and he's naggingly accurate. That's what he's been picked for. And again, this one's a bit back of a length, and it's worked through the onside by Harris off the back foot. He'll get a couple. It was just to the left of square leg, who set off in pursuit, and his throw comes in now, and Harris has moved to 17, and a ripple of applause will go around the ground because Pakistan's 50 is up.
Well batted, Pakistan.
50 for 2, rebuilding job from this pair. Harris, who's batting at number 3, perhaps not his natural spot. He's a middle order player. He's a stroke maker, and with Azhar Ali going up to open these days, Harris is perhaps having to justify. But he's got runs in the tour games at this 3 slot, and he's waiting now for Kane. He goes back in defence. Plays it up to mid off the end of another over. Pakistan 50 for 2.
So Ian Gray says...
Sorry, there's one ball left. Sorry, David.
Ian Gray says, first time tuning into Guerrilla Cricket. Nice one, chaps. Really enjoying it. Any jobs going? Well, you can. If you're interested in being a Guerrilla and taking part, then please do get in touch with the team on Twitter. And there are all sorts of jobs going. I know Ravi Nair has already replied on Twitter with some potential ideas, including benevolent dictator, board of directors, which involves bringing the pastries and beers, guest expert, beers and pastries, and you give someone the left, or apprentice, where you pay £5,000 a month. That'd be lovely.
Kane over the wicket and back of a length. Harris is punching through the covers. Again, they run hard and turn for 2. That is the end of the over. 52 for 2.
Okay, it's time for this.
Brought to you by Creek Fees.
Well, Harris and Shafiq have left 48% of balls they've faced. The average for Test cricket is 16. Ireland have scared them into retreat. That's the start of the hour from Crick Viz. Thank you very much. And on our entries for the GPL, let's tell you who we have. Bevan Comike, I can't see you on here. You've forgotten to press enter double. You have to enter twice, I think. We have Messi Jez on 213 and 223s. All the threes are Messi. 233, 243, 253. Rob Dinsey is on 278. A new entry I've never seen before, Boulevardier _Bill, is on 311, and Dave Emrys has 317. To do the GPL, I'll explain after this ball.
As Thompson commences his third over, he's in just on the leg stump, but turned into the onside by Shafiq, but the square leg fields and there's no run.
You go to our website, go to competitions, it'll give you a spiel. You have to sign into the website, get yourself some money. Each entry costs £1. Guess the number of runs that will be scored in the day. You have to get it exactly right. The man who gets the exact number of runs in a day will win the pot. The pot started at 38 quid this morning. It would have risen to about 44, 43 by now.
Thompson, he's a swarthy, well-built lad, and he's on bowling a good tight line, and as Shafiq just jabs down on it, if it had beaten the inside edge and wrapped on the pad, the keeper was all ready to go up, but he covered it up just in time, and that's maybe a little bit of nip back from Thompson, just finding the seam and finding that little bit of nibble that has justified the skipper's decision to insert these Pakistanis.
He's just finding his feet here, Thompson, isn't he? His first over was a little bit nervy, but he's causing a couple of problems now, even with his medium pace.
Yeah, it's good to see. And again, it's slightly under the leg side, and Shafiq will just turn around the corner and agreed single down to long leg.
Any more tweets?
Well, Woi Woi Pom, I think, is bemoaning the lack of swearing so far. The regular listeners will know that it's not been unknown for a Guerrilla to get frustrated at the day's play. And to be honest, there's been very little to frustrate us. So
well, indeed.
It's been absolutely fine. He says the bear is on now, so I expect his potty mouth soon.
Well, I've had no beer yet.
No beer?
Well, I'm going to have some at lunch.
It's almost 1 o'clock, Bear.
Well, I know. Normally I'd have started already, but...
Thompson over the wicket. Good full ball outside the off stump, but Harris will leave it alone through the keeper.
I'm sure as the crowd gets more rowdy, we may well get more rowdy in the box too.
Well, the crowd are certainly lively. I had a little lap around. There's a good sprinkling of Pakistan fans. They always like to make noise when there's any kind of runs accumulated. There's a couple of fours that they were able to raise their heckles to, and then the Ireland fans are are steadily coming in, and it's a lovely ground. You can perambulate. There's areas where you can stand and look over the barriers. Thompson continues very full outside off stump, left and on.
We've been joined by Donna SpongeBob, who says, "Thank you, Guerrilla Cricket. An English girl sitting in the garden in Belfast, wearing her Ireland top, listening to the inaugural Test match. Just loving the commentary. Great stuff."
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Donna. Hi. It's a lovely day up in Belfast too. That's good to see. The sun is shining across the island, and I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday. All the clubs in Ireland have got the weekend off, so all the club players are able to tune into this match as Thompson continues back of a length. Harris just raises the drawbridge and leaves another one through to the keeper. Thompson takes his cap at the end of the 24th over, and Pakistan are 53 for 2.
Yeah, you mentioned the crowd atmosphere. It was really at its peak around the 2 wickets that we saw, 2 in 2 balls earlier on, which reduced Pakistan to, I think it was 13 for 2 at the time. So we've had a partnership of 40 since, but the crowd really got going during that first kind of hour's play. We saw an incredible first ball, which almost saw Imam ul Haq have to retire hurt. It was a nasty collision with Niall O'Brien, the Irish keeper. And it kind of set the tone for the first half an hour's play when it came to Pakistan's running. It was an incredible start to the Test match. But since Ireland did lose that second wicket,
since Ireland lost that second wicket,
since Ireland gained that second wicket, Pakistan lost the second wicket. We've seen a very creditable fight back from Pakistanis.
We've got a change of bowler. Ireland are going to introduce their 5th seamer of their attack, and he's going to be jingled up right now.
We're going to find him. Hold on a minute. Oh, there he is.
O'Brien, Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
No.
Indeed, the man that's done sterling work in our theme tune over the years, and it's great to get to see him in the flesh. The big red-headed Kevin O'Brien is beginning his run up now, and he's past umpire Lingworth and bowling his first ball wide of off stump, left and uncomfortably by Shafiq. But you're right, Barrett, went from the hand. It swung early. He was very wide, and it went wider. But O'Brien's going to feel his way into his work again. The phalanx of Irish medium pacers.
Now, we have a Kevin O'Brien tweeting us earlier as well. I'm wondering if it's the same one. He said that he was in the stands with a beer, so...
Wouldn't put it past him.
Wouldn't put it past him at all, no.
Good man.
Lovely to see you back out on the pitch, Kevin, and we'll see how this second ball goes.
Yeah. Keep tweeting, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
In between balls, you could... he's chugging in now towards us and bowling. Back of a leg, he finds the shoulder of the bat. It's well controlled by Shafiq. And played down under the gully, yeah, but a bit of bounce from the tall 6'5" is he, Kevin? He's a big fella, and he extracted a bounce from back of a length and a bit of swing too. It really caught the glove. So Shafiq gave it the chainsaw, and but it bounced once to Porterfield in the gully.
You know, it's really interesting seeing Shafiq prod forward there, because we had a tweet in from Rana Jahan Darby saying that Shafiq is a big LBW candidate here, just calling it in advance with Kevin O'Brien on to bowl.
O'Brien's in again now, and this one's on his pads. He turns it round the corner. They run quickly. The long leg comes round to his right, Thompson, and flings it in. They can just get the one. Shafiq gets away from the dangerous early offerings from Kevin O'Brien.
Dan Liebker's with us. He says, if you're in Australia and want to follow the Ireland v Pakistan Test, forget Foxtel and their non-existent coverage. Tune in to Guerrilla Cricket, who are doing their thing, but with added officialness.
Yeah, it's great.
We are a bit more official today, aren't we?
We are a bit more official.
It's a lovely thing to be wandering around the ground, feeling all official, etc. Maybe, as we said, particularly with the bear involved, it will get rowdier later.
I'm sure it'll get rowdier.
O'Brien is over the wicket to Harris, and it's on his legs. He turns it into the onside. He can't get a run.
What, are we getting paces on the screen?
No, I'm not sure that we are. I can't imagine that Kevin is touching 80 yet. I'd say he's in the mid to high 70s. I mean, possibly. Could you call him a trundler? Would that be? That'd be unfair.
It's verging on trundler, isn't it? I mean, it's certainly not the most inaccurate decision of it. A military trundler.
Military, yeah, but he's got a good first-class average. He takes his wickets at 28, just 44 of them in 42 first-class games. But he has taken a 5 for.
It just does make it that little bit harder, doesn't it, international level, if you're not right up at those peaks of speed.
Indeed, and this one's back of a length and on the legs. Not a great ball, and Harris turns it round the corner, takes a single. He goes to 20 to join his batting partner. Nice symmetry there.
I must say, I'm looking forward to seeing Mohammed Amir in the flesh later on.
I mean, I've always been a big fan of Mohammed Amir. He is the best 18-year-old bowler, or he was the best 18-year-old bowler I've ever seen. and it was such a shame. Obviously, the well documented the spot fixing stuff left him out of the game for 5 years. But I'm really looking forward to seeing him bowl later on today or tomorrow.
O'Brien's in. This is too wide and too short. He's lucky that Shafiq didn't deign to thrash it to the boundary. Just went through the keeper. And I think was it called a wide?
I don't think so.
No, has the umpire miscounted? I think he's going to give him a 7-ball over. Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't realise this. There's no DRS on this match.
He did call a wide. He just
Oh.
did it very kind of surreptitiously.
Oh, he did. Oh, okay. So we'll have one of these.
Again, one that went from the hand, went wide and went wider, and rightly called. So O'Brien gets an extra delivery, and he makes Shafiq play. He just dots it into the leg side. However, there's no run, and that is the end of the over. 56 for 2.
So this is all old school. So I've been emailed by Ben Jones, Crick Viz man. He says there won't be any speeds throughout the match, chaps. There is no ball tracking at the ground, but there's no DRS either.
Yes, notably when Imam was LBW, I mean he did linger. I mean every batsman lingers when they get the dreaded finger. But I was wondering, was he going to review? And well, now you filled me in that such an option is not available to him. So he had to, on his way. That's old-fashioned. Take the umpire's decision and off you go, pal.
It's old school cricket, and you have to take what you're given.
I like that. It's a nice return.
It is in a way.
I mean, it's one of those things where if it kind of had been available, and you know, I remember at the time a lot of opposition to reviews because we didn't want to mess with the tradition of the game. I think it's now generally understood that the reviews are making decisions better, and it's a good thing. But at the same time, it is nice once in a while to kind of have a bit of a throwback.
And it means you can properly celebrate. You know, there's no like, hooray, and then there's doubts, but you can actually really get stuck into your celebrate. You know, when the appeal is answered, it's a great moment in cricket. Thompson's continuing. He's over the wicket to Harris, and he leaves one alone again. It's tight line to the off stump, but not tight enough to induce any kind of shot.
Can I just have to play the game like the rest of us?
Steve King has tweeted in, and he is absolutely right. He says, "I think you've missed a trick with the Kevin O'Brien jingle. Should be to the tune of Cockney favourite Any Old Iron."
Yeah,
we will get on that as soon as possible.
Having said that, you know what? I'm gonna try this one after this ball.
Thompson past the umpire and onto the pads, nicely clipped away by beautiful. Harris. He seems to think it'll go to the boundary, and sure enough, the Irish fielders have given up the chase. It crosses the ropes. A nice 4 to Harris Sohail.
There's not one boy for me. I must have 2 or 3. I need 4.
Let's get it in quickly.
Kevin O'Brien, Niall O'Brien, any O'Brien. Play reverse sweep, look pretty sweet. You won't get out if you move your feet. O'Brien, O'Brien.
There you go. Asked for and delivered. Thompson into Harris, and he's back in defence, playing it out to point. No run. That one off the legs was just one of the few genuine boundaries we've seen this morning. It was Thompson again, a little bit of swing, but he just straight onto the pads, and Harris, a class player like him, will put that away. I do like the look of Harris. He's one of these stylish left-handers, isn't he? He's quite tall, quite sort of willowy. He wouldn't, maybe not willowy, he's a bit chunkier than that, but he's beautifully set up, beautifully balanced. So he waits now, a slight crouch, and leaves a wide one outside off stump through the keeper.
He wasn't really did he play in the Test series last summer against us? I don't think he did he? He was in ODI side. I remember seeing him, but I haven't really seen a lot of him.
He's only played a few tests, I think 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He played a couple against Sri Lanka.
Plays ODIs, doesn't he?
Yes, he has played it. And what I like about him, and he did it in the tour game against Northampton, he's not afraid to bat in a cap. If the spinners get on, Harris will call for the old soft headgear, and you know I love to see that.
Oh, yes.
And Thompson making him play, nicely played back up the pitch to Thompson. Covered up well by Harris, but a good contest, good cricket all round.
Of course, it's all about mother cricket, Rog.
Well, Sheila, unfortunately...
She would appreciate that.
Well, unfortunately with Pakistan, it's the slightly baseball style that they still wear, but it's, you know, they don't wear the lovely... Do you remember in Imran's time they had a sort of baggy cloth cap?
Like the baggy green?
Yeah, it was. But Pakistan these days, they don't... well, we'll see when they come and field. Maybe they brought them back for this special occasion. Here's Thompson in. Over the wicket, too short, and turned off the hip by Harris. Kevin O'Brien runs around and feels really well, flings it in immediately. A very athletic bit of work by the big man just before he has to bowl, and they keeps them to 1 run. Pakistan moved to 61 for 2 at the end of 26.
Woy Pond says, I'm pleased to say Supersport in South Africa is covering the match, so I've got the sound down with you on. Relief from the T20 rubbish. Imaduddin Ahmed says, thanks for your commentary, referred to you by my Irish mate Ray Gorman in Kampala. Could you tell us the average number of edges in the first morning of a test match starting on the second day due to rain in the Isles of May in May in the first 15 overs? Well, the answer to that I think is about 8.5, isn't it? We looked at that one earlier.
We did indeed. Of course, at lunch, Hendo and Dave B will be talking to Aideen Rice, who's the president of Irish Cricket. So that will be coming in about 8 or 9 minutes.
O'Brien's continuing and very full, and just a check drive from Harris, who pinched the strike, played it to mid-off, but the man there moved to his right and fielded. There was no run. Harris on 25, Shafiq on 20. As you say, they came together at 13 for 2, and they're doing a good job at rebuilding. Not without alarm. There was a flash over the slips from Shafiq. Actually, Shafiq has been troubled a couple of times. Has hit the shoulder of his bat. He drove one that went high over a gully area as well off Tyrone Kane. But Harris has been more assured of the pair. He's waiting for O'Brien now. He goes back and plays a lovely little glide into the covers, into the gully. It was well fielded by Porterfield. Again, nice cricket all round, and a graceful piece of timing there from Harris. He has got time to play his shots, hasn't he? That was a nice little glide that he has essayed, but couldn't get runs.
Guy Satchwell asked us, lads, did I miss something? Has Wilson replaced Nyla with the mitts?
No, Niall O'Brien's keeping. There may have been a slip of the tongue earlier at some point today, but no, Niall O'Brien is the Ireland keeper today.
But Gary's beside him there at first slip and keeping him company with Sterling at second, and then you're watching O'Brien bowl way down the leg side, and his brother won't thank him for that. He had to go to his left, got his fingertips to it, and one of those ones on the finger ends. He's still not up off his haunches yet, Niall O'Brien, and a really filthy one.
Given his buys as well, which for a keeper you feel a little bit hard done by, having dived way down the leg side to get anywhere near it. Chris Waller wonders whether an 18-year-old Mohamed Amir was better than an 18-year-old Daniel Vittori. Well, obviously very different prospects, but I know which one I'd prefer to face.
Well, they'd make certainly a world teenage 11. They'd certainly push for inclusion in that. This one's full again down the leg side from O'Brien, this time to the right-handed Shafiq. And again, making his big brother do more work. His big brother, who's getting on in years a bit now, 36-year-old, and he's just testing out the knees, and the thing he'd probably be looking forward to a few sarnies and a cup of tea. Paul, and well, we might, I think we probably will fit in 1 or 2 more overs after this.
It's funny, we advertised around the ground by mentioning that there was going to be more analysis and fewer pigeons than on TMS. But John Aldis wants to know whether there are any reports of seagulls recently. He was persuaded to listen because of Seagull's report, but no action on that front.
O'Brien back of a length and cut hard. He hasn't quite timed it. I think they should be able to hold this one in, the 2 Irishmen who are in pursuit. Indeed they do. A bit of a relay action there. Balbirnie finally flings it in, but Shafiq takes toll of a rank short one outside off stump, and he picks up 2 more runs to take Pakistan to 64 for 2. And the 50 partnership is acknowledged by a ripple around the ground. 51 from these two from 115 balls. We'll keep you abreast of any bird life. As we say, we're near the seaside here, so there's nothing to report. I'm not going to start making them up like Blowers did. Here comes Kevin O'Brien, back of length again, and Shafiq misses out on another one. He should have really cut for 4. His timing was all wrong, and he just toe-ended it into the covers. Couldn't get her on end of an over. 64 for 2.
Right, we should tell you right now, you have exactly 3 minutes to enter the GPO. We've had 24 entries this morning now, and they're coming in thick and fast. 180, 190 for Mike Toms, 200 as well, and 210. 213 for Messi Jez. 218 is Ling Mao. Captain Mike Yates has 219. 220 is Ling Mao and Mike Toms. Ling Mao is a multiple winner, as is Messi Jez. 222 Ling Mao, 223 Messi Jez, 224 Ling Mao, 226 Ling Mao, 228 and 230 also Ling Mao. Messi Jez has 233 and 243. Mike Yates has 249. Messi Jez 253, 259 after this.
Stuart Thompson continuing too short, and but Harris punches it up to mid-on, can't get a run.
259 Captain Mike Yates, as well as 269. He's gone for the 9s. He's taken a leaf out of Messi Jez's book by choosing different numbers. 278 Rob Dinsey, 311 Boulevard Bill, and 317 Dave Emrys. It's a lot of entries today.
It's a very effective strategy that from Ling Mao. We've seen it before. Just pick all the numbers, and you almost.
He does it now. Ling Mao does groups, so he chooses somewhere between. He'll choose a spread of 20 and give, take every other number sort of thing.
Thompson's in over the wicket to left-handed Harris, who plays it back to him off the back foot.
Messi Jez always chooses the threes. And it's a battle between those two. Those two have won it about 5 times each.
Dutchbird Kate's with us. She says, cracking jingle for 9 and Kevin O'Brien boys. Are you missing me? Well, Kate, of course we're missing you.
You could have been here if you wanted to.
Yeah, we see Dutchbird. She gets up to a lot of cricket.
She did. She spent the whole of the winter, didn't she? Yeah. Down under and
lost her flag, didn't she? She traveled with her trusty flag that she goes everywhere with. This one's full, left alone outside of stump by Harris, and really good carry through to the keeper.
We've got a couple of questions, one from Jay Grover, one from Dave Wood, both saying, who did you say was at second slip, i.e. who's keeping Gary Wilson company? I believe it's William Porterfield, isn't it? Who caught Azhar Ali earlier?
He was there for the catch, but no, the rotund little bearded fella at second slip. Bear will represent him momentarily as Stuart Thompson continues over the wicket, back of a length, and Harris plays it back to him.
This one.
Sterling.
He'll be the man.
That's the fella. Now, will he get the solitary tweak before lunch? I'm not sure they'll have time for that. I did see him rolling his arm over, but I don't think there'd be no point. I would like the captain to keep these seamers, these young seamers going. Well, O'Brien not so young anymore, but Thompson is into his 5th over, and he's improving with it. This one's too short and lollops over the batsman's head, a bouncer that he was very easily negotiated. And Thompson not really the pace of a bowler to be threatening anyone with any chin music.
It was an angry bouncer, wasn't it? But it wasn't a particularly quick one.
No, in fact, I mean, it was almost in the batsman's half, but it bounced a lot, and really a more indication of this good hard track. Not everything is carried through. Maybe there's some areas of the stroke. I think wide of off stump ones, maybe from the bottom end, have died a little. This one, was edged, but past the gully. The shoulder of the bat from Harris. He's going to collect a ball while the slips are in hot pursuit. Well dragged in. Great effort from that man to chase it all the way to boundary. It was Gary Wilson, who's a very agile fella. And well bowled. Stuart Thompson unlucky. Caught the shoulder of Harris's bat there. I don't know if it was quite a chance. The gully did put in a despairing effort, but I'm not sure even if he'd been in the right spot it would have gone to hand. But a moral victory for the bowler, and on that note, Stuart Thompson certainly will be buoyed, and Ireland will be buoyed by the efforts of Big Boyd Rankin, among others, who justified the skipper's decision to bowl first. Ireland and Pakistan will take lunch on this lovely, lovely Malahide morning, the first morning of Test cricket in Ireland, at 67 for 2.
Let's give you the scorecard this morning. Azhar Ali came in with Imam ul Haq. As we said, there was a little bash in the first innings, but Azhar Ali fell for 4 of 23 balls. He was caught Porterfield bowled Rankin, Imam ul Haq was LBW bowled Murtagh, and Haris Sahal is not out 28, and Asad Shafiq is not out 22. The bowling figures are Tim Murtagh 7 overs 2 maidens 1 for 12, Boyd Rankin 7 overs 3 maidens 1 for 7, Tyrone Kane 7 overs 2 maidens none for 23, Thompson 5 overs no maidens none for 17, and Kevin O'Brien 2 overs no maidens none for 5. And that brings us up to lunch. Hendo is going to come in now with Dave B, and they will be interviewing Aideen O'Brien. Aideen O'Brien? No. Change of plan? Oh, we've got exciting guests at lunchtime. Okay, I'm going to play you a jingle to get us through to lunch. If I can find them. I don't even know where they are now. Are you there, Hendo?
I'm here. I can help you out there. We are here. We're going to be talking to Odran Flynn first for the first part of the lunch break, who is has watched a lot of Irish cricket. He works for Cricket Europe as well. So we're going to talk to him about all things Ireland and various other issues as we just move into the commentary seats. Dave Brooke is also with me. If Odran wants to come and take his seat in the middle, where we will grill you and
Marvellous morning, Hendo.
Marvellous morning. I mean, what a start to the game. First ball, an incredible incident. First ball where they went through for a quick single. The ball had only run a yard or two from the stumps on the leg side, and Imam Hack collided with Tyrone Kane coming in from square leg, and Niall O'Brien running from behind the stumps, and was down for, I don't know, it must have been about 10 minutes, mustn't it? Anyway, Odrin is alongside us now. Welcome to Guru Cricket, Odrin. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Great to have you along. Now, what did you make of the first session of Ireland Test cricket this morning?
Surprisingly, it was actually much better than probably anybody hoped for. Especially putting them in, given the weather yesterday. It was probable that whoever won the toss would bowl first, because the prospect of some sort of movement off the pitch because of the rain and the moisture. And the two sort of most experienced bowlers, Boyd Rankin and Tim Murdoch, both took a wicket, and were unlucky. They could have had more wickets. It's good to see that the younger players coming through, like young Tyrone Kane, Stuart Thompson, have actually bowled quite well and fairly well kept the pressure on young Tyrone Kane, who doesn't even have a contract with Cricket Ireland or with the provincial teams either. He bowled very well, and he was unlucky not to get a wicket. The key for Ireland now is during the afternoon sessions and the rest of the day is to keep the pressure on, and they're going to have to back up Boyd Rankin and Tim Murdoch, otherwise they could struggle, because the wicket already seems to be sort of improving, and it could be a very good batting wicket by the end of the day and tomorrow.
Yeah, let's think about the team that Ireland have picked. No spinner, they've gone for an all-pace attack. You were surprised by that, you thought maybe McBride would have got the nod?
I was. I looked at the wicket on Thursday afternoon, and it looked very dry, particularly at this end here, and I thought that if you're going to play a test match rather than a sort of one-day match, I can understand the logic it was a one-day match. I think that a spinner, a frontline spinner, could have been very useful, after sort of 60 overs are bowled in innings. For example, in the Pakistanis have two spin bowlers, including, I know it's only a second test you have, is replacing Yazir Khan, but you have got 10 wickets last week, a leg spinner, and anybody who's looked at Ireland's record in recent times, or record against Spain, particularly leg spin, has not been great.
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, also, we talked about at the start of this game that I think it was Barry McCarthy was left out, wasn't he? Or was left out of the squad, or was sent back home because Graham Ford didn't want an extra strike bowler. He wanted a strike bowler, and then he wanted some people to keep it tight. Do you think that was the right decision?
No, if you've read what my pieces, you will know I don't think it was. Barry McCarthy has been... It's been a bit unfortunate in the sense that he's been Ireland's top wicket keeper in the last bowler in the last 18 months. He's got 50 wickets for Durham in 15 games. He's got the highest strike rate in ODIs from anybody in history who bowled 100 overs. He's in the top 10 of that. Now, he was, and he has been occasionally been expensive. The answer I was given last week is because he's been expensive, but he gets wickets. So you're balancing one against the other. And his first class record, his economy is 23.7. So he's getting wickets. Yeah. That's a dilemma. I suppose Tyrone Kane was the big surprise last week. We were at the press conference to announce the squad. Nobody would have picked Tyrone Kane as being in the squad. And not only that, he's actually playing now as well. It would have been interesting to see Nathan Smith, because he was the other surprise. He's 22-year-old. He's actually from Sydney originally, but he's an Irish passport, and he's only played five first-class games. He's quite an accurate bowler, and he's a bit of pace, a bit of bounce. He's about 6 feet, nearly as tall as Boyd Rankin, maybe even taller even. Right. And it would have been interesting to see how he would go on, because I suspect if he hadn't injured himself on Thursday afternoon, that he would have played. Okay.
And Boyd Rankin, of course, if you're sticking to that plan, your plan is that Boyd Rankin is your strike bowler. It seems strange that having got a wicket, he's taken straight out of the attack. He's bowled 4 overs, and do you think that this notion of keeping the runs down has informed that decision? There's a lack of flexibility from the coach and from the captain.
It's a good question. I mean, Boyd in recent times, even in I know it's the ODIs and out in Zimbabwe in the World Qualifiers, Boyd didn't really bowl more than 4 overs at any stage. Right. Now, whether the decision is to try and save him, because the recognition that himself and Tim Murdoch are really going to have to do the bulk of the bowling and come on when they want to keep things tight and risk You know, I know they have two. Well, Kevin O'Brien is not an experienced bowler, but he's not really. He's where he is, fifth change. That's about all he is really, and that's going to be the dilemma. I think the real dilemma is going to be when we move on another 40, 50 overs. I don't suspect there's going to be a major collapse by Pakistan. But I mean, we certainly haven't disgraced ourselves in our first morning. Far from it, Joe. And I mean, we almost had the most phenomenal first ball in the Test match, in a debut Test match today, when the batsman Imran Ul-Haq, Imran nephew, he actually quick run and he ran into Niall O'Brien, and he was down on the pitch for some time.
Absolutely.
So that's one way of getting wickets.
It is, absolutely. I mean, that would have been a terrible debut if you'd actually faced a ball on his debut.
Yeah.
It would have been incredible. Yeah. Let's move on a little bit from talking about this game and talk about, well, it is about this game in one sense, because we've noticed since we've come over the lack of coverage in the papers about Irish cricket. I mean, I think we were looking at the Irish Independent the other day, and it's like you had to sort of, it was nothing on the back page, nothing on the inside spread. You had to go back another page to find anything about it. And now you work for Cricket Europe. How do the Cricket Ireland go about getting greater coverage? Is it they've just got to keep probing away? Is there anything spectacular that they can do? And is it just the mindset of, you know, because cricket hasn't traditionally been an incredibly popular sport over here, is it just going to take time?
It will take time. One of the difficulties has been that cricket domestic level, you know, is fairly low key, has been fairly low key. And indeed, if you go back prior to 2007, when we basically burst onto the world stage, we beat Pakistan and qualified for the Super 8s in West Indies, there was very little coverage of cricket on the media, the written media at those days. It has improved, and it sort of, and you get sort of spikes of it around something like this, around a major ODI, you will get it. But the problem is that on a day-to-day basis, sports pages, really, there's too many competing sports, and unfortunately cricket has suffered. But strangely enough, go back 2 years ago, there's probably more coverage than there is now in some ways. You said the Independent this week, you didn't see much. One of the days certainly had a 4-page spread. Right. And last Sunday in the Sunday Independent, for the first time in cricket history in Ireland, there was a 4-page broadsheet.
Excellent.
Pull out, you know. Brilliant. So out there, I mean, the online, Cricket Europe's an online website, and we've been sort of doing it. We have all of the records of every single test, every single match is ever played by Ireland, and every single player, and there's profiles in every single one, and with all the statistics. So we can go back through that. But you have to sort of, you know, you have to just keep at it. And unfortunately, we thought that actually the test sort of thing, that getting test status would have improved it, and I'm not sure that it has to any great extent.
So very slightly disappointed in that respect.
It is disappointing. I think a lot of the editors don't really see, sports editors don't really see it. You know, that, you know, I think when this today, when there's thousands here, suddenly it might sort of say, okay, hold on, there is an audience for this, and it's gone out on TV.
I mean, in the meantime, Audrey, you do tremendous coverage of Irish cricket and associate cricket on Cricket Europe, and social and digital media. There's, you know, a lot of coverage to pick up on, and increasingly that's where people go to. So you've watched a lot of the associate cricket and Ireland's progress to this point. You know, it's a tremendous shot in the arm for Test cricket this occasion, and shot in the arm for Ireland. How do you see them faring this step up from associate cricket to Test cricket?
I think actually there's two values to it. I think the Test cricket is fine. I think the full membership is, like, some ways is more important than the Test status, because we're not going to be playing that many tests. Realistically, it costs a fortune for us to stage home tests, particularly. So I think if we average about no more than 2 tests a year for the next 4 or 5 years, I think that'll be the height of it. It's the status of the particularly ODIs. I think we're going to have about 60 home ODIs in the next 4 years. Wow. And in the past, when we've had ODIs, primarily we're against other associates, even though we've been on the ranking table going back to 2007. And I think that is where we can make money. That's where we can get sort of experience of younger players coming through, because we're in the middle of a transition. I mean, effectively, what is here out today is the last sort of hurrah of the golden generation. The golden generation. And there's players, I mean, someone like Ed Joyce, for example, you know, is held together by string at this stage, you know. And Ed himself would tell you that, you know, and if the first head hadn't been for another year, I suspect he would never have made it. And it's great to see the likes of Ed Joyce, who England should have caught 10 years ago when they were in Australia. So it's great to see the likes of him, the likes of William Porterfield, Boyd Rankin, Gary Wilson, all these people getting tests.
Yeah.
I think if you come back here in 2 or 3 years' time, I would say the team here, I'd say if there's 3 or 4 of that team left playing Test cricket farm, that'll be the height of it.
Well,
so it's one day is going to make the big difference because there's more money in it, obviously. There's TV. We're going to move to, we're actually apparently going to go to a new ground next year, a custom built ground out of Abbottstown, and the intention there is to have floodlights at that as well at some point.
That'd be great.
Which means you can play day-night stuff.
But I think it was Warren telling us yesterday, Warren Duchamp was saying to us, that's probably, the first ball's not going to be bowled there till about 2022, I think he was saying. So we're looking now, well, 4 years ahead, aren't we?
4 years ahead.
So you're still going to be playing here and the other grounds that you can use in Ireland for international cricket?
Yeah, Stormont and Belfast would be sort of the other main ground, and then there's Breedy, which is up the northwest. I'm pretty certain they haven't had an ODI. They've had T20s up there, but Stormont, we sort of tend to alternate with Stormont for here. Now it's probably the basis of about 2 or 3 1 here than it is for a number of reasons. It's like some of the other what would be deemed as more minority sports, the 4 big sports here, if you like, is GAA, which is the biggest, then rugby and soccer, obviously. But we're actually building up, and there's the club scene has actually improved immensely. There's a lot of younger people come in, primarily 2007. And then another boost after 2011, Kevin O'Brien and all of that. So, there is the clubs, a lot of younger players. When you go to the clubs now, there's a lot of younger players playing cricket, going to nets and everything else. So hopefully they'll be retained. Hopefully the extra money that Ireland get from ICC, hopefully that's put in the right way and is going to produce new players, as opposed to, if you had a choice between players and facilities in some place, you need to put sort of a more even break for players, and facilities, and I think that's the key, and hopefully keeping the people who are important to Irish cricket, keeping them involved. For example, like Ed Joyce, for example. Hopefully when Ed retires, and it can't be that far away, hopefully he's kept in the Irish cricket scene and pass on, because there hasn't been, in modern times, there hasn't been a better batsman than Ed Joyce.
Well, one of the questions we've been asking most people is how the fact that Irish players will be considered as overseas players now is going to affect development, because they won't be able to go and play as over in England as overseas players, unless they get a contract as the overseas player of the county. So they're going to be playing purely in the system in Ireland, and you've got this Interprovincial Cup, which is the 3 teams, isn't it?
There's 3 teams for the 3-day, and there's and for the 50 overs. There's 4 teams. Munster come into it for the T20s.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's 4 for the T and 3 for the other 2. Yes, so right. That's going to be the way it is. Effectively, the golden generation, as they say, effectively came about because so many of them were playing county cricket.
Yeah.
And they were playing against experienced players. Effectively in 2 or 3 years' time, all of the Irish team and the Irish team will be playing their cricket in our home in Ireland, which hopefully will improve the standard there. What they will lack, though, is those years that the current generation got.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the interprovincial. How much have you seen of that in the last couple of seasons, and how do you rate the quality of the competition?
Well, I've seen most of the last, since it started again 5 years ago. It's only been first class since last season. Quite a few of the players out there today now have come through that system. Tyrone Kane, Stuart Thompson, Andy McBride is not playing, but he probably would have played as a spinner. It's good. There was one last week. The first one of the season was last week in Pembroke, Leinster against the Northwest, and several players, like Stuart Thompson is in this team today on the back of that.
Got a big 100, didn't he?
Got a big 100, and he got a 100 for his club the previous weekend.
Right.
So the 100 he bowled. Tyrone Kane bowled very well last week. I think got him into it. So it's there. I think we're going to go through a period, realistically, in the transition period, which really should have started a couple of years ago, but that's another day's work. I think we're going through a transition period, and I think we're going to have to expect a sort of a fall off in results over the next 2 years. But that's a price you pay, because we're going to, if we want to keep it going, no point getting full member status if we no longer can compete at that level.
So sometimes you just have to take a little step back then to just advance
Absolutely,
again.
yeah, and I think so. And I think the opportunity now is ideal opportunity now, because a lot of senior players will be going in the relatively near future, and I think it'll be ideal to bring younger players in and give them a chance and not worry about the results.
But we'll all agree it's a tremendous occasion today, isn't
Absolutely.
it? And
phenomenal. I never thought I'd see it.
Did you think you would see this day?
No, I didn't. I'm not the youngest in the world, but I remember as a schoolboy going to see Australia play Ireland and Ormo in Belfast in 1961. And I never for one moment dreamt that even 6 or 7 years ago I'd never dreamt I were here watching a test match.
Here we are, and a glorious setting it up.
Absolutely.
Before you go, we have to ask you about your football career.
Yes.
You played football with the great George Best, didn't you?
Who told you that?
Ah, well, little bird told me. Tell us about. Go on, tell us something about. What was that like playing with George?
Well, I was schoolboy football. It was under 13, 14. You know. Yeah, I mean, he was something else. I mean, it's easy to say that, yes, because he turned out to be, but you could see it. And he was actually quite a small lad. I mean, he turned out to be sort of 5'10", 5'11" with Man United because all the training and extra and nutrition and everything else. Because we're talking about the 1950s now and the early 60s. And he was phenomenal in talent. And he was a small little lad. He would run in and out, and and he would come back. His first few years, even over his Man United was 15, and the first 2 or 3 years he would come back in the summertime. And he was still play with us and play matches and everything else, And then when he was about 18, he never appeared again.
All right,
I think he found other things that we discovered. Other things took his interest.
Did you ever have to mark him? Did he sort of nutmeg you a couple of times or anything like that?
I tell you what he did. Yeah, what he did do actually. If you beat him, he would kick you up in the air. Seriously, he would, big time.
Well, I suppose that's maybe sort of what people don't understand about some skillful players. They can still mix it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You remember those days back in what was the first division. Those days, what's now the Premiership. I mean, it was very, very hard to get a yellow card and remain a red card. You nearly had to assassinate someone to get sent off, And he was getting kicked up and down all over the place.
You're talking about the manly art of hacking. I think you're talking about taking out the shins and in those days.
Is that manly or is it manly in Australia?
Manly in Australia, perhaps. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't mind being a manly in Australia.
Wonderful talking to you, Audron, and that's Audron Flynn, who is the main writer for Cricket Europe. That's cricketeurope.com.
It is indeed.
Cricketeurope.com. Who cover Irish cricket in a lot of detail, a lot of stats on there. And thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Seeing you on another occasion, and or indeed again during this test match. And we're very happy to have with us also as a double header today Pete Johnston, who runs the academy. He's the head of the National Academy manager for the Irish team. A lot of experience. He was an assistant coach to both Phil Simmons and John Bracewell. So he's come up through the coaching ranks, and no better person to talk about this current team, both the golden generation and particularly the youngsters coming through. Pete, very warm welcome to you and to the commentary box. And how do you feel on this historic occasion?
Yeah, well, I think like everybody else in the ground, just immensely proud, and a beautiful day for it. I think it's been a fitting day to kick things off. So yeah, just overwhelmed really. It's a bit surreal to be watching it. Most times when our guys would be playing 4-day cricket, there'd be sort of one man and a dog watching in the Intercontinental Cup, where obviously we've been very successful, and a lot of guys have learned their trade. But to see almost a full house here today and the sun shining, and playing Pakistan and doing very well in that first session, I think it's just brilliant to see.
How do you think it's the effect that this is going to have in terms of the younger players that you look after?
Yeah, no, just inspiring. We've got some of them actually working on the ground here, the younger academy lads. They're helping out with the covers. They had a tough day yesterday. I did tell them today would be a lot better. So, yeah, just it's great motivation for them to see this and to aspire to be out here one day.
At what age would someone come into the Irish Academy exactly?
Yeah, so we've it's sort of changed a bit. A couple of years ago when I came in, we changed it to a younger emerging academy.
Right.
So those guys would be anything from say 15 to 19. A lot of our under 19s who did well at the World Cup would have been in the academy, in the emerging academy. And then we have a senior academy, which is effectively, you can be any age. It's our finishing school, so they're the next cabs off the rank, effectively. Yeah.
So you draw the people from where? Where do you find the talent? Where do you go looking for the talent? In the club game initially, or school game?
Yeah, over here it's mostly the club game.
Right.
Schools cricket it's there, but our terms are quite short. And the weather often plays havoc as well early season, but the club game here is very vibrant in all the regions. And just even speaking to Graham Ford yesterday, he's really positive about what he sees in club cricket here. It's competitive, it always has been. Some good overseas players playing it too. So club cricket, and then our youth system is hugely important. So We've international sides from under 15, under 17, under 19, and those guys get the opportunity to tour a bit and play a bit in England and against Scotland, and obviously our under 19s just back from the World Cup this winter too. So that's sort of the pathway and how we see it.
And how easy is it to finance that? I mean, is there a lot of money being pumped in? I say, or a great proportion of the money that Cricket Ireland draws in that's being put into the grassroots and the youth game particularly?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. It's not cheap, obviously, to run these things, and it's getting better all the time. I think big step forward for us is going to be facilities with Abbottstown, which has probably been talked about a lot. Yeah. So to have a home there will make a huge difference for us. We've got overseas facilities in La Manga, and that's made a big difference too. So we can go there, do some winter training in warm weather, and the academy have a winter camp there. The under-19s had a camp there, so that makes a big difference. I think we've still got to invest in our coaches a bit more. You know, the provincial coaches at the moment would be part-time, and I think it would be great, and it's definitely moving this way when we see a more professional setup around those provincial players as well. And then from an academy point of view, probably with on the Ireland side of things, we can start to really focus on the next best effectively, because I think by that time the development that the provinces are doing will be up to a very good standard.
Is there a system for developing the coaches themselves in this country at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, we have you know, coach education officers, and we have a lot of good coaches, sort of lower but high performance side of things. I think that's where we really need to probably focus now on turning those good club coaches in getting some high performance coaches. And you know, we're going to have a lot of guys that are now obviously coming to the end of their careers in this great Irish team that hopefully as well will give back to the game, and potentially we can get them to join our coaches. Like Ed Joyce has done a lot of work with the academy. John Mooney's obviously with Afghanistan, but he's also done a lot of work with the academy on the fielding side of things. Andrew White does a lot of coaching, so it's great to see these guys. And Albert van der Merwe is a coach of the Leinster Lightning as well, so these former players starting to give back to the game, and these are the guys that we probably need to be backing to become professional coaches.
So your ideal situation, Pete, as the National Academy manager, to talk about some of the younger players we're seeing today in this Irish side. Obviously a lot of attention on the first change bowler today, young Tyrone Kane. He only had 9 first-class matches. Of course, that's because the Inter-Provincial Cup has only been nominated first-class status for the last couple of years. But how much experience does he have under his belt, and how did you think he performed this morning, and what are your expectations of him?
Yeah, no, I thought he did very well first and foremost. I think he's been selected because he's a guy that's consistently putting the ball in the right area and challenging on a good length. He's got good skills. He spent his winter over in Melbourne playing grade cricket. He's actually done the last 2 winters doing that. So he's a really impressive guy, and it's great to see him get the opportunity here.
How do you think he took his chance this morning?
Yeah, I thought he bowled very well, actually, very consistently, which he's there to do. A good few years ago, I went away with him on the under-19s to a World Cup, and he actually averaged around 40 in that World Cup with a bat. So he's a very talented batter as well, so it would be nice to see him get a few lower down the order as well.
Oh, what number do you expect him to bat in this team?
Oh, in this team, he'd probably be that number 8 slot, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, so bat all the way down.
Yeah.
Tell us about Andy Balbirnie, because he won't be as familiar a name